Good evening and welcome to the Spokane City Council legislative session for June 27th. If you would stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Council President Beggs.
Here.
Councilmember Bingle.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Present.
Councilmember Zappone.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We don't have any salutations, proclamations, or special events or reports, so we're going to get right into our legislative agenda. But before we do, since some of you might not have been here before, we're going to have public testimony on the consent agenda, on all the items that are going to be read out by the clerk. And then when that's all done, then we'll have some time for open forum as well. And most of you know that you get up to 3 minutes, and we keep a timer here. When the light turns to yellow, you have 1 minute left. When it turns to red, I will ask you to stop. And we have some rules of decorum here. No cheering and no booing, no clapping, all those things that are kind of distraction. We want to keep it a safe space and give everyone who wants to speak a chance for their 3 minutes. We also ask that you don't disparage any individuals. And also stay, if you can, on track of what the issue is that we're talking about. And if you stray from that too far, I will bring you back to the focus of that. And then also on open forum, sometimes people get confused on that. That's for anything that we don't discuss tonight and that's not on the agenda for the next meeting, which we don't have the next meeting. So July 4th is a holiday. So if it was already discussed as an item tonight, please don't address it in open forum. But with that, I'll have Ms. Pfister read that.
Council President. Point of privilege. I think we should acknowledge Mr. Honaker, who was shot in the line of duty.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. I did want to do that. The Officer Honaker's name wasn't released until just a while ago, so we couldn't mention him. But I do want to just pause for a moment and offer our sincerest hopes and concern for Officer Chris Honaker, who was shot in the line of duty. He has been released from the hospital and he's recuperating and looking forward to coming back to work. We are just thinking of him and his family. I can just say for myself personally, we have had coffee together, and he was instrumental when we put together a new police guild contract after 4 years of not having one. He was part of some courageous conversations to do that. And as tragic as it is when anyone is injured, when we know them more personally, it brings it a little closer to home. And I know that we all wish that we could reduce and end this violence that's out there, and particularly our hearts and thoughts go out to the people who are paid by us to be out there in harm's way. He was actually responding to a call of shots fired when he was indeed shot. So, Officer Honaker, we're thinking about you and hope to see you back in uniform soon. Ms. Pfister, if you'd like to read the consent agenda.
Okay. Reports, contracts, and claims. Purchase of Liebert branded uninterruptible power supply. Replacement at the Combined Communications Building utilizing state contract agreement number 05114, $129,846.64, including tax. Item number 2 has been deferred indefinitely. Number 3, acceptance of additional consolidated homeless grant funds from the Washington State Office of Family and Adult Homelessness, and approval to subaward funds to subrecipients, increase of $358,467 revenue. Total grant amount $9,969,518. Number 4, low bid of La Riviera Incorporated, Rotherham, Idaho, for Cochrane Basin Stormwater Treatment Facility, Downriver Disc Golf Course, $3,390,485 plus tax. An administrative reserve of $339,048.50 plus tax, which is 10% of the contract price, will be set aside. Number 5, contract with Spokane Emergency Physicians Spokane to provide medical advisory services to Fire Department from May 1, 2022 through April 30, 2027, $498,403.19. Item number 6, consultant agreement with Lion Insurance Services Spokane for employee benefits broker and consultant services from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2025, $405,000 or $135,000 annually excluding tax if applicable. Item number 7, report of the mayor of pending aid claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through June 10, 2022. Total $8,526,938.12 with Parks and Library claims approved by the respective boards. Warrants excluding Parks and Library total $8,174,104.69. B, claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through June 17, 2022, total $10,286,297.05. With Parks and Library claims approved of the respective boards, warrants excluding Parks and Library total $9,530,270.82. C, payroll claims of previously approved obligations through June 11, 2022, $8,301,611.69. Number 8, City Council meeting minutes for June 9, June 13, and June 23, 2022. Item number 9, contract with Volt Management Corporation, Orange, California for technical resources in support of the Project Management Office, Community Housing and Human Services, and in the Innovation and Technology Services Division from May 1, 2022 through April 30, 2024, $350,000 per year, not including tax, deferred from June 6, 2022 agenda. Number 10, value blanket with Airgas Specialty Products Incorporated, Lawrenceville, Georgia, for the purchase of anhydrous ammonia at the waste energy facility from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2025, not to exceed $880,000 annually. $2,640,000 for a 3-year term plus tax. Item number 11, purchase of cubicles for the Spokane Police Department Gardner Building utilizing Herman Miller Omnia Cooperative Contract number 2020-000622, $65,070.44 including tax. Number 12, purchase of Dell server utilizing NASPO contract $594,798.72 including tax, relates to consent agenda item number 17. Item number 13, low bids of A, Bacon Concrete Incorporated, Spokane for Cycle 9 traffic calming projects, $498,305.25, and administrative reserve of $49,830.53, which is 10% of the contract price, will be set aside. Various neighborhoods. 13B, Halmay Construction Incorporated, Spokane for Washington Basin Stormwater Knox Avenue Project, $1,999,122.75, an administrative reserve of $199,912.78, which is 10% of the contract price, will be set aside. Number 14, 1-year value blanket renewal with Camtech for cameras, other security hardware, and video management software, $295,000. Number 15, contract renewal number 1 of 2 with Frank Gurney Incorporated, Spokane Valley, Washington, for needed on-call guardrail repair services not to exceed $125,000. Number 16, 1-year contract extension with Superior LLC, Lake Mary, Florida, for continued joint administration of the false alarm program from July 1, 2022 through July 30, 2023. Estimated revenue $380,000 per year. Number 17, First Amendment to Master Services and Purchasing Agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated to add on additional products and services, $7,614,420.75. Number 18, multiple family housing property tax exemption conditional agreements with A, Idaho LLC for the future construction of approximately 16 units each at parcel numbers 35203.0123 plus, commonly known as 714 South Hatch. B, North Hill Millennium LLC for future construction of approximately 61 units at parcel numbers 35062.1601 plus, commonly known as 706 West Garland. C, 3027 East Upper River LLC for the future construction of approximately 24 units each at parcel numbers 35102.3801 plus, commonly known as 3027 East Upriver Drive. D, Spectrum Development Solutions LLC for the future construction of 1 building and 168 units at parcel numbers 35176.3517, commonly known as 811 North Iron Bridge Way. Phase 1. E, Spectrum Development Solutions LLC for the future construction of 1 building of 100 units at parcel numbers 35176.3514, commonly known as 1411 East Iron Bridge Way. Phase 2, the conditional agreements will ultimately result in the issuance of a final certificate of tax exemption to be filed with the Spokane County Assessor's Office post-construction.
All right, that's 2 meetings worth. That's why there's so many. Thank you, Terry, as always, for your amazing reading. We have 2 people from the public that have requested to testify, Terry Anderson and Corey Amsdeb. And Terry Anderson, I believe we're going to have you on the screen. So if we want to promote her to speaker. Hi, Terry. Welcome to City Council. You have up to 3 minutes.
Oh, excuse me, can you hear me? I'm trying to get my video on. It's not. Oh, there we are. Hi, my name's Terry Anderson, and I'm the director for the Spokane office for the Tenants Union of Washington State. And we actually signed up tonight to speak to one of the agenda items during the legislative session. But I thought as long as I'm here, I would like to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the phone calls that we've been getting from tenants on our tenant hotline.
Terry, before you, Terry, so we'll
Yes?
definitely have you testify on the item that you wanted, but did you have items, this is the consent agenda only, so was there an item on the consent agenda? If there's not, then I'll save your testimony for the item that you're interested in or open for.
I got to tell you, I get very confused signing up for
No.
remote testimony.
That's-
I signed up to speak on a specific item,
Yeah.
and then the very last question says, do you want to speak during open comment? I assumed that was going to be at the very end of the meeting,
No.
and was just going to talk about the concerns that
Yeah.
we're hearing from tenants in
No.
Spokane during just the open comment.
This isn't open comment, it's just consent agenda, but we'll get you.
I did not sign up for this.
Yeah, well, we just had you, it's all right. That's why I'm clarifying. So we'll get you for the item that you wanted, which was the ADUs, I think. And then open forum if you want to talk about generally what's going on. We'll get you, you're on open forum. We have you signed up for that, so.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep, so,
Thank
okay.
you.
And is that the same probably for Corey, too? If you know? Corey's not on.
I don't know.
Okay, no worries. Corey's not on the line, I don't think. Corey Amstead. All right, so there's no further public comment. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda as read indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, consent agenda is adopted. And that brings us to special budget ordinance and just a commentary. A lot of these items we moved around today at our briefing session, so if you hear something that's not on your sheet, that's why. But Ms. Pfister, go ahead.
Ordinances amending ordinance number C 36161 passed by City Council December 13, 2021, and entitled, an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2022, making appropriations to the various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage and declared an emergency and appropriating funds in. Ordinance C 36193 is deferred to July 11, 2022 agenda. Ordinance C 36231, forfeitures and contributions funds. Number 1, increase appropriations by $95,000. A, of the increased appropriation, $95,000 of the increase is to be used for the procurement of used vehicles, $95,000. B, for the increased appropriation is funded from unappropriated reserves in the forfeitures and contributions fund. This action arises from the need to procure additional undercover vehicles.
All right, there's no requested public commentary. Is there any council commentary? All right, seeing none, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. And that brings us to another special budget ordinance.
Ordinance C 36227, Public Safety Personnel and Crime Reduction Fund. Number 1, add 2 parking enforcement specialists, 1 positions from 0 to 2, and increase the associated appropriation for salary and benefits by approximately $69,225. This action arises from the need to create an abandoned vehicle unit.
All right, again, no requested public commentary. Is there any council commentary? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I just want to say how excited I am to have these folks on board and to start finally addressing the abandoned vehicle problems that we've been having all over the city. So I think this is going to make a big dent. And also wanted just to thank Councilwoman Stratton for a lot of the work that she put into making this happen.
All right, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0.
Ordinance C 36228, Public Safety Personnel and Crime Reduction Fund. Number 1, increase the appropriation by $668,000. A, of the increased appropriation, approximately $256,000 is provided solely for wages and benefits for Fire Academy Recruit School instructors. B, of the increased appropriation, $412,000 is provided solely for equipment needs related to the Fire Academy Recruit School. This action arises from the need to run an additional fire recruiting academy beginning in 2022.
All right, again, no public comment. Any council commentary? All right, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. Next one.
Ordinance C 36-229, General Fund Number 1, decrease the appropriation for a Public Defender 1 position in the Office of Public Defender by $27,000. 2, increase the appropriation for legal services by $27,000. 3, there is no change to the overall appropriation level in the general fund. This action arises from the need to transfer budget authority from personnel to non-personnel expenses to provide expert witnesses legal services.
All right, no public commentary requested. Any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. Now, there's no emergency ordinances. Now we're at resolutions and final reading ordinances.
Resolution 2022-26, updating methodology for the distribution of investment earnings in Spokane Investment Pool to participating funds not restricted by bond covenants, grant terms, contractual terms, or establishing ordinances, deferred from March 21, 2022 agenda.
All right, again, no public commentary. Any council commentary? Prepare to vote. That passes 7-0.
Resolution 2022-55, recognizing the US 195 I-90 transportation study, the study as a declaration of the city's desired future transportation conditions within the US 195 corridor from I-90 to Hatch Road.
All right, no public comments requested. Any council commentary? All right, prepare to vote. That passes 7-0. Continue on.
Resolution 2022-57, approving the appointment of John Hall as the Director of Neighborhood Housing and Human Services for the City of Spokane.
All right, and I don't know if we're expecting a presentation from administration on that tonight, but not seeing any. It's been a long time coming to fill this position, so we're really glad to welcome Mr. Hall here, hopefully. Any other council commentary? Councilmember Cathcart.
Just really excited to have him on board. Had a great meeting with him a couple of weeks ago, and just based on his background and experience, I think he'll be a great addition. So happy to have him.
I was going to echo Councilmember Cathcart. His depth of knowledge was very impressive, that we should have someone coming to Spokane to help us out. So we look for him on July the 11th.
Same, and the different areas in the country in which he's worked, I hope that the differences in policies that he's seen throughout the country will be a big addition to the city, so looking forward to him.
Councilmember Zappone.
Yeah, my only problem was that he graduated from Syracuse, and I'm a Georgetown boy, so when we get to some basketball season, it's going to be interesting.
Okay, well, you probably forgot that my daughter just graduated from Syracuse, so he's up high in my estimation. So, all right. With that, prepare to vote. All right, the orange have it. All right. There are several ordinances and some things that we're going to handle in other hearings, but now we're to first reading of ordinances.
Ordinance C 36-230, amending Ordinance C 21-606 that vacated Mellon Avenue from the west line of Section 16, Township 25 North, Range 43 EWM to the west line of Hogan Street, and Perry Street from the south line of Mellon Avenue to the northerly boundary line of the right-of-way of the Union Pacific Railroad Company, City and County of Spokane, Washington, releases easements at request of the property owners, Iron Bridge Development.
All right, and Krista Anderson has requested to testify. Krista, if you want to come on up. Welcome. You have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you. Without criticizing the Iron Bridge housing development in any way, I just have a question. Will this amendment affect the city's ability to connect the Iron Bridge Trail northwards along the riverbank as the master bike and pedestrian plan called for, with the railway easements.
We've got Mr. Brown is going to come up and maybe give us a little background on that.
No, excuse me, no, that shouldn't impact our ability to make that connection.
All right. Great. Good. And my understanding is that's still on the books to happen. So thanks for coming down and advocating for that. Thanks. Okay. That's it for first reading ordinances. That brings us to special considerations, which I'm sure a lot of you are here for.
S1, lease agreement with Lawrence B. Stone Properties, number 4320 LLC, Spokane, for the use of the building at 4320 East Trent Avenue as a shelter space from August 1, 2022 through July 31, 2027, with option for 1 5-year renewal, $145,770 for 2022. Total for all years combined, $1,867,256.
All right, so we have a lot of people signed up for this. I'm going to read names in groups of 3 so that if you're in that, you can come down while the other person's talking and get a little closer, and it'll just increase the time available for people speaking and move through things. Really appreciate everyone coming down and all the emails that we've gotten about this from all the different perspectives. To start out, Zeke Smith, Luria Shu, I never get your name exactly right, so please correct me, and then Randy McGlynn. Laria, yes. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, you're first, Zeke.
Okay.
Welcome to City Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Beggs. Council members, thank you as well for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Zeke Smith. I am the president of the Empire Health Foundation, and I am a Spokane resident. I also want to thank you for the thoughtful deliberation and ultimately the decisions about funding to address homelessness in our community. This afternoon, I sent you each a copy of recommendations that were developed through a collaborative process of almost 40 Spokane community members that know firsthand what is and isn't working in our system of homeless services. These participants are cross-function, they cross-sector, they cross-jurisdiction. There were housing and health providers, representatives of Hello for Good and the business community, local government staffers, and private philanthropy. And all of us came together to consider how we might take action on this in this unique moment. As you all know, there's over $208 million of American Rescue Plan funds that are at the discretion of local governments across Spokane County, and there's another $25 million in one-time funds from the Washington Department of Commerce right-of-way proviso that's specifically set aside to support moving residents of Camp Hope into more permanent and stable housing. I share this information with you today as you consider this special resolution, as I hope that this deliberation represents a broader consideration for integrated and comprehensive funding of homeless and housing supports. If we are truly to support individuals moving from homelessness to more stable and permanent housing solutions, we will need to meet them where they're at and with the kinds of supports that can address their immediate needs. Shelter, in and of itself, does not do this without the right set of services and providers wrapped around it. So if this funding decision is a signal of additional investments across the system of homeless supports and additional permanent housing solutions, then it would be a welcome signal. As you consider this and other investments to address homelessness in our community, know that there is a coalition of fellow Spokane community members ready to support an integrated and comprehensive system, and that we agree that we cannot wait any longer to take decisive and tangible action. Thank you again.
Thank you, Zeke. All right. Laria, and then Randy McGlynn, and then Chuck Teagarden.
Good evening. I'm Laria Shu, Executive Director of the Smith Barbieri Progressive Fund. I'm here today to ask you to set your baseline for the planning of human care higher than the current proposal for Trent Avenue. During the June 6th Safety Committee meeting, the Trent proposal was outlined, and several of you asked important questions to the presenters, Eric Finch and Johnny Perkins. I watched that meeting, and several of their answers are concerning. It has been repeatedly said that service providers will be on site, including mental health and addiction treatment services. However, during the June 6 meeting, presenters confirmed that they have not talked to service providers about their capacity to be on site. They do not know associated costs or resources that are needed. Thus, initially, Trent would open with no on-site service or houseless, and the houseless could be bused to the Cannon Street shelter for resources. Let me repeat. The Trent Avenue proposal claims to include services on site, but the reality is there have been zero efforts to work with local providers. To be clear, if houseless are bused to Cannon Street, they will not receive mental health or addiction treatment services because Cannon Street does not have those services. On Thursdays, Chaz provides minor medical treatment, but again, no mental health or addiction treatment services are offered on site. Only referrals can be given. Referrals don't work for houseless. We have to meet them where they're at. They don't have transportation to get to appointments. And yet the public has been told time and time again that Trent will include services on site and is thus a quality step towards reducing homelessness. If you agree to this proposal, you are agreeing that it is okay for the public to be told their tax dollars are going to a plan that services and is offering services they can't provide. No bathrooms or showers exist at the Trent property. Porta potties and one shower trailer with 4 shower stalls will be brought in for 250 people to use. Presenters admitted they didn't know whether or not the cost for adding restrooms or what it would be to add showers to that facility. If you vote yes on this proposal, you are agreeing that having no idea of remodel costs for restrooms is a wise decision, and that porta potties and outdoor showers are an acceptable baseline for potential long-term care for humans in the Northwest, regardless of whether or not the shower trailers may or may not operate well during winter months. If time allowed, I could detail the lack of laundry services on site, the lack of kitchen, the fact there are no food resources within walking distance, and the challenges with putting 250 people into one large space with no thought to various needs to the people who are going there, such as single women who may fear going into a location with men, LGBTQ plus community members, families, persons of color, or young people who have legitimate reasons to stay far away from a situation where they will be surrounded by hundreds of people with lack of planning for their particular needs. Last week, I emailed each of you articles detailing the success of cities like Houston and countries like Finland, who have significantly reduced and nearly eliminated homelessness by providing housing services that are actually on site. We have yet to hear the city talk about what proves strategies.
We're at the end of your 3 minutes.
We can do better. You should expect better.
Thank you so much. Next, Randy McGlynn and Chuck Teagarden, then Laverne Beal.
Thank you, Council President, council members. Obviously, this is one of many pieces that are coming into place to help solve our homelessness, or at least to help our homelessness issues. And so I understand, and our neighborhood understands, that there's a lot more work to do, and we appreciate the efforts that the city is doing to help try to address this issue as expediently as possible. With our warmest months coming ahead of us, this facility will help provide additional cooling space that we desperately need to help keep our unsheltered in a healthy, safe environment that allows them to be out of the heat and to endure those elements. So with that, I do urge that this council does consider taking these steps to move forward. Our neighbors are asking it, our businesses are asking it. The whole community is coming together to try to help solve this problem, and we appreciate the partnership with the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chuck Teagarden, then Laverne Beal, and then Alicia Barbieri.
President Beggs, members of the council, thank you for trying to act on this proposal. Since I was here last time, my staff has been threatened on multiple occasions for the bathroom code in our building. We're at the Tapio Center. Things are not getting any better. The impact of this issue in our community is frankly sucking all the oxygen out of the room. And I was told yesterday that because of the violence and things that are transpiring here, we're taking officers from the Domestic Violence Task Force and putting them on the Extreme Violent Task Force, or whatever it's called. So we're putting more families and children in danger. And domestic violence, as you all know, is the #1 killer of law enforcement officers in the United States. So we have less officers investigating domestic violence crimes at a time when violence is peaking in our community. None of that makes sense to me. And I understand that you all are doing the very best you can. In concert with that, I understand there's a camping ordinance that's going to be talked about. And again, I hope that there is a ban on downtown camping. I was walking through the underpasses this weekend, taking my grandkids to Hoop Fest. The smells were just almost unbearable. One side of the street, there's chlorine, where the people are living under there, they're trying to make things clean, I guess. On the other side, there's a naked guy that smells like urine. I mean, this can't be our town. We have to start looking out for the families and children that are not causing all this disruption. So thank you so much for trying to take action on this, because it's having an impact on everything. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. Laverne Beal, then Alicia Barbieri, and then Michael McGuire.
Thank you, Council President and Council members. My name is Laverne Beal. I am supporting the funding of the Trent Avenue facility to house and help our growing chronic homeless population. I believe that Trent Avenue Homeless Shelter is the correct location. It is also correct action to take prior to experiencing extreme weather conditions. A solution prior to a crisis is the best outcome for all. The Trent location provides a shelter that is wrapped social services around the individual. It is a solution that offers hope, and although imperfect, it is a solution that can be enhanced and perfected over time. While you consider the financial impact for the taxpayers, also consider the additional cost and the impact this is already having. Consider what Spokane's future will look like if nothing is done. It seems quite clear that the inability to develop a comprehensive solution has already impacted our neighborhoods with increased home and business insurance cost, lost business revenue, which also equals lost sales and B&O tax, increased property repairs expenses, increased police overtime, increased firefighter overtime, increased city staff time, decreased public safety, and decreased public trust. As you can see, the public cost is already significant. There is a viable way out. It only needs your approval and your guidance. Please approve the Trent Homeless Shelter location as proposed. Thank you for continuing to listen.
Thank you, Laverne. Alicia Barbieri, and then Mr. McGuire, and then Sherry Burnett.
Good evening. Alicia Barbieri with Goodale and Barbieri Company. I know I've emailed and spoken to many of you already, but I just wanted to acknowledge that I understand the East Trent facility isn't perfect, but it's one step in the right direction in addressing our community's homeless crisis. I also think it should be a regional priority and partnership, like many of you do, and that perhaps county funds should support the effort, and it should not rest solely on the city of Spokane to solve. But we can certainly lead by example. The encampment on the WashDOT property is not a solution, nor should it be an acceptable standard of living. I look forward to seeing the administration, city council, and the private sector working together to identify additional safe and sanitary housing options, be it temporary, transitional, permanent, open air, mobile parking, whatever classification we might need to deem it to allow those that are homeless or houseless to find a safe, clean area to live in, I support. But I'm imploring that each of you tonight support that first step forward and set an example that we don't, nor do we turn our back on homelessness. We are striving to set the example in our community and our region and help solve homelessness. So please support the Trent Shelter tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGuire. And after Mr. McGuire, Sherry Barnett, and then Chris Batten.
Thank you. Council President Beggs, members of the City Council, Michael McGuire, Spokane. Today it is 90 degrees here in Spokane. Many homeless people have to endure this heat. They have no place to go. Please approve the homeless shelter on Trent Avenue. And it is said works of mercy cover a multitude of sins. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Barnett, after Sherry, Chris Batten, and then Emily Cameron.
Yes, I'm Sherry Barnett, and I do live in Spokane. Actually, I spend a lot of time walking my dog and in the downtown area, and I have seen business after business have to quit because of the debris and the mess, and I've seen people living in squalor. So I urge you to go ahead with this, but I also believe, and I've spoken this before, that the UGM asks something of people. They ask them to participate in their own recovery, in doing something to keep their areas clean. And I think we ought to put together some of these ideas so that they have some responsibility in the area that they're at. Nobody gets a free ride in life. And I don't think the homeless should either, but I do believe we should help them. And I do believe that we're getting lots of people from outside our area. A lot of people I don't know if people are giving them bus tickets to come to Spokane, but I talk to a lot of people that deal with the homeless in many places, and they say that there's a lot of people coming in here that are not from Spokane. So we're bearing a heavy burden that's beyond what we really have for our own citizens. And I just have to applaud that I'm hoping and praying we see a great improvement, because it's a terrible mess down on the area around Freddie Meyer, and they're not safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Chris Batten, then Emily Cameron, then Hallie Burchnall.
Good evening, Council. Chris Batten, Chair of the Downtown Spokane Partnership. On behalf of the board, I want to express our sincere support of the East Trent shelter facility. The shelter is the best first next step in the immediate need to help solve this issue. Assuming you vote the way I hope that you do, I want to thank you in advance. I want to thank the administration, Johnny Perkins, and Larry Stone for putting forth this very much needed facility. Equally as important, I look forward to our discussion around a robust and meaningful sit-and-lie camping ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Emily Cameron. After Emily, Hallie Burchnall, and then I believe Kel Eddings.
Good evening, Council President, Council members, Emily Cameron, Downtown Spokane Partnership. Pleased to be here this evening to express our support for the Trent Shelter lease agreement. As a not-for-profit membership organization, the DSP is dedicated to enhancing the vitality of downtown Spokane as a driver of a healthy region. We are Spokane's central city advocate and service provider to more than 1,200 business and property owners, supporting thousands of employees, residents, and visitors annually across the 80 blocks of downtown we manage. We all recognize the urgency needed to provide supportive solutions and shelter to address encampments that pose a significant risk to everyone in our community. We appreciate your leadership and this unique public-private model that will quickly establish a shelter on Trent Avenue. The facility will provide a crucial first step on the path toward permanent housing for some of our most vulnerable. Thank you for your focus on solution-oriented approaches to homelessness. We understand the challenges of finding workable solutions. Sidewalks, alleyways, and underpasses are not safe places for people to reside who are struggling with behavioral health, addiction, and other challenges. Downtown residents and businesses, our employees and customers see this struggle firsthand and are all too familiar with the overwhelming issues that follow. Encampments create a health and safety hazard. Our neighborhoods need your help. We need shelter, and we need policies that address encampments, in particular in downtown, where critical infrastructure, hospitality activities, and a high concentration of pedestrians require additional tools. You can help those who are most vulnerable in our society and ensure we have a safe and clean community for everyone. We urge you to support the shelter and look forward to continuing to partner with you on comprehensive solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Hallie Burchnall, then Kel Eddings, and then Catherine Cork.
Hi, council members. I want to thank you for your time. I'm learning to do this with a little bit more dignity instead of just roaring up here. I want to, first of all, echo what both Zeke from Empire Health and Laria from Smith Barbieri Progressive Fund said, and that's that we're one at a time when we have significant resources available to really address homelessness. And I think it's an opportunity to put a lot of thought into what we're going to do. I have concerns that I want to voice just to keep those at the forefront. And that's, I want to know that there's processes in place to safeguard the people that choose to stay at the Trent shelter if it are approved. That there will be some way to effectively monitor shelter staffing and promised services, and how will those be measured? Those are questions I would love to have answers to. I'm concerned that it's not a walkable neighborhood and that it's a food desert. You can't walk there with a walker. You can't. There's not usable sidewalks leading up to it, and that's a significant safety concern. And then I feel like it's my duty as someone that specializes in substance use disorder treatment with people experiencing homelessness to reiterate that there's many misconceptions that addiction is the leading cause of homelessness. And while I think people suffering or struggling with active addiction are some of our most visible people experiencing homelessness, they are not that is not the leading cause. And so I'm just going to share something I've shared consistently, and that is from the Homelessness in America Overview of Data and Causes. That's from the mayor's meeting each year, October 2018. According to the most recent annual survey by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, major cities across the country report that top causes of homelessness among families were 1, lack of affordable housing, 2, unemployment, 3, poverty, 4, low wages, in that order. The same report found that the top 4 causes of homelessness among unaccompanied individuals, singles, were 1, lack of affordable housing, 2, unemployment, 3, poverty, 4, mental illness and the lack of needed services, and 5, substance abuse and the lack of needed services. So I just think it's really important to keep that in the forefront for all of us, so that we don't spin around stigma and make these huge assumptions that really impacts negatively the people that need our help the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Hallie. And I'm not sure if I'm getting is it Kel? Okay, thanks, Kel. All right, Catherine Cork. And after Catherine is Katie Bruya, and then Phil Altmeyer.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Cork. I'm a Spokane resident and community volunteer. I've already emailed most of you about some of my concerns, but I wanted to highlight a few of them. I see this as a first step in moving forward to address comprehensive homelessness needs. I do have some specific concerns about the lease. 1, the option to buy is only for the first 6 months. 2 months of that is going to be doing basic upgrades. That leaves you 4 months to evaluate whether this is a go or not. That's not enough time. I would, if it's possible to extend that to possibly a year, that would be more realistic. Okay, there are many deficits in the plan as proposed. There are no services currently. Okay, we have an proposed operator who may not have the administrative skill and experience to operate a shelter of this size. I would urge you to revisit, this ties into the lease, revisit both of the proposals and interview these folks in depth about how they would go forward with all of this. And it is essential that WRAP services be available if not on-site, at least identified and transportation figured out. One comment is the owner is going to make money whether or not this building is full, half full, or barely full. And a big factor in that is whether providers can get behind it. So the more you can do to make this something that they can support and persuade their clients to give a try to, I think needs to happen as soon as possible. Number one of which would be to move indoor toilets to phase 1 rather than phase 2. That is a critical health need, not just a luxury for folks experiencing homelessness, many of whom have incontinence issues. And I think that's a major deficit in the way things are right now. Those are the main points, but good job in trying to address the needs and get something going, okay? We're a long way from where we need to be, and I encourage you to continue to explore other options for folks that have legitimate reasons for not wanting to participate in this type of site. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next, Katie Bruya, Phil Altmeyer, and Dave Bilsland.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Katie Bruyer. I have lived in Spokane for 3 decades, which is weird to say because I moved here for college, so I'm not sure how that happened so long ago. But my children will be 4th generation Spokanites. We are very committed to this city and love it here. I've worked downtown at Washington Trust Bank as the chief HR officer for 22 years. I've had a front row seat, like many of you, also being downtown, to all of the activity that has happened over the last couple of decades. I've seen a lot of individuals in distress. I've seen a lot of people who wouldn't care if the shower was in a mobile unit in a parking lot because it's better than what they're seeing right now, or better than going to the bathroom right outside my office on First Avenue across from the Davenport Hotel. I've had several female employees who are in high heels and skirts and business clothes come to me as the chief HR officer in distress saying, I can't walk between our various buildings, I can't walk to other meetings because I can't get past encampments on the sidewalk. I don't feel safe. I'm walking in the middle of the street to get to where I need to go. That is not meeting my duty of care as the HR officer for Washington Trust Bank. So I started looking into this issue about 3 years ago. And as you probably know, because I've emailed several of you, so thank you for being gracious for those emails, responding to me. I'm also leading Hello for Good, a private coalition of businesses, which stands for Helping Empower Lifelong Opportunities, HELLO. We are very intentional with that name because we wanted to connect with individuals, build relationships. We're not here to just sweep streets and warehouse people and throw them away. We, many of us on this committee have personal connections to homelessness, addiction, and other mental health issues, and we recognize this is a vulnerable population that needs assistance. This is not the panacea, and we're not saying that it is. I'm encouraging you to vote yes, because it is a good, solid first step. I can assure you, in talking to my bankers, the management fee is a fair fee. The prevailing wage issue won't be an issue because these are local contractors that treat their employees well and pay them good wages. These are local Spokane businesses that will be doing the contractors there. I don't think anyone's making an unfair return on the building. If anything, it's sat empty for nearly 4 months when it could have been leased the day after. So I think there's a lot of really good things in place. I appreciate the commitment to this work. I appreciate the courageous conversations. I know it's not easy. We, the business community, want to partner with you and come alongside you and come up with a strategy. This is the first step of many. We recognize that. But please do vote yes for the shelter tonight, and let's get started down that path for helping our vulnerable populations, while also ensuring the ability of all of us to enjoy this wonderful, great city and all that Spokane has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Altmeyer, and then Dave Bilsland, and then Earl Moore.
Mr. President, council members, you know, it's a privilege to talk to you because I understand that the group of you will determine what homelessness in our city looks like. The mayor won't, the citizens won't, you will. Every city council across the country determines what their city looks like. It's interesting to me that I believe most of us desire for homeless people to have a bed to sleep in, a roof over their head, a table to sit at and eat, a shower that they can take, and a toilet that flushes. That's what we desire. And we've talked about Trent tonight, 225, but I want to remind everyone here, we also have a lot of other shelters in our city. This will not be the only one, but there is a need. It's not perfect. The toilets may not flush right now. The showers may not run, but it's a step in the right direction because, as you've heard tonight, compare it to what people have. The streets, tents, there's a big difference between what's being offered. It's going to be hot, and everyone's going to be screaming, what? We need a place that they can be cool. It's going to be cold, and everyone will be saying, what has taken place? We don't have a shelter. I hope it's not a political issue. It's not Democrats. It's not Republicans. Let's do for the homeless what they need. Let's provide a shelter. It's interesting to me, someone already mentioned it. I too attended Home Fest, or Hoop Fest, not Home Fest. I took my grandkids from Lewis and Clark and walked them from underneath the bridge down to where they were playing on Main Street. On the way, we passed 3 people sleeping on the streets. My boys are in Coeur d'Alene. That's not all we passed, by the way. There was a lot of questions asked. They don't see that in their city. That's why I say every city council determines what happens in its city. This is a step in the right direction to provide a building that people can go into. If people are concerned about flush toilets that flush, showers, let's add them to the facility. I think there's enough people to get behind that and do it. But this is a step in the right direction. I would encourage you to, don't expect shelter providers to take care of the areas around their shelter and be responsible. You as a city council can pass ordinances that protect shelters and clean up the neighborhoods in which they're located. And I know if we're going to need to add more shelters, those ordinances need to be in place. And again, right now, my taxpayer money, the amount of money that's spent to clean up garbage, graffiti, and 2 police officers that sit there while they clean it up, I'd rather see our officers doing something else. So again, I think these are things that you can make a difference. So thanks for the position you sit in, and I hope that we move forward with this shelter. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave? Is Dave out in the lobby? Come on. After Dave is Earl Moore, and then it looks like Judy Luce.
This shelter will be a good start. But when you start mixing people that are very religious from different faiths, such as Episcopalians and evangelicals, they ain't going to mix, right? So why are you putting all the homeless in one shelter or 3 shelters? We have several different kinds of groups, just like we have several different kinds of churches and several different bars. Because we don't want to put everybody in the same place because they'll fight. What happens in shelters? People fight. Why? You're putting people together that are of a different clique. This is high school all over. You don't put the jocks with the socials with the stoners, right? Well, why are you trying to do that with the homeless? We have Cannon. We have the Way Out shelter. And now we have this one coming up. That's a good start in addition to the other ones. But we need a system where we can put 20 to 40 people into a shelter and have 10 different shelters so somebody can pick which one they're going to get along in. Because, you know, I don't get along well with the evangelicals, so I can't go to that one. Right? So, you know, you got to be able to have this legitimate choice of where to go. This is the land of choice. It's supposed to be the land of choices, even though one was taken away. But we need to have several different shelters. We're on the right track. But again, like I say, when you mix people together, you don't put them all in the same church. You don't put them all in the same bar. Why are you putting them all in the same shelter? We need several different places in several different parts of the city. No more NIMBYs. We need YIMBYs. We need to have upwards to 10 shelters. I'm serious. because you don't want to put these people all together. Some of them I don't like, okay? And I like everybody. But you know, you got to be able to separate them out across the way. So this is a good start. We need some more. And by the way, you need more than one porta potty for this thing. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl Moore. And after Earl, Judy Luce, and then Corey Amstad by phone.
My name's Earl Moore. I live here in the city of Spokane. I want to thank Council President, and I want to thank all you council members for showing up and listening, because you have to listen to a lot of stuff, and I hope you do. Today I sat through the briefing session, and you know, this might sound kind of cheeky, but I'm sorry you're suffering from heartburn because of a 2.5% management. 7% was where you started. You got it down to 2.5, they did. That's a pretty good negotiation. So I suggest you get some Tums, okay? And after listening to the session, it appears to me that there are people on this council that just don't want to move forward with the administration's plans. And I'm not just saying today. I've seen it in other areas, and I'm not sure what the cause of that is. But I'll tell you this, 140 businesses in this city, in my city, stepped up, and they say, we're in favor of this shelter. 140 businesses. So while you're dealing with your own ailments here, there are people on the streets in my city that need our help. I have personally visited Camp Hope. I hear people call it Camp Hopeless. I won't do that. Those people that are there, many of them are not without hope. We're their hope. You're their hope. Let's deliver. Let's get started. And I hope you see the vision that we can do in this beautiful city. And I pray you don't miss the opportunity. I kindly ask you to support this administration's plan. I think it's time we move forward. Plan, plan, plan. We need action. Let's move forward. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Judy, I believe it's Luce. And after Judy is Corey on the phone? Okay, and we'll get to you, Corey.
Hello, thank you very much, council members and President of the Council, for this opportunity to speak on this issue. I'm here to ask the City Council to approve the lease of the Trent Shelter and to expedite its operation. The community that accesses Spokane City, by the way, I'm from Medical Lake, and I want to love to come to Spokane City. Well, we're eager to see the homeless get the help they need to address their issues, which in large part can be due to behavioral health or drug addictions. Why is it that they're always there? They're always out on the street for such a long, long time. It has to be, there's something causing that beyond just, I don't have access to housing. Time is of the essence for our people on the street to have the help they need to take the responsibility for their lives through program intervention offered by the Shelter Plan on Trent. And I'm looking forward to seeing a safe and clean city for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have, I believe, based on the sign up, Corey Amstad by the phone. If you want to hit *3 and let us know when you're. All right. Corey, I don't know if we have your name. Please introduce yourself. You have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Corey Amstad. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here to testify to ask that the council postpone the vote on this lease, and this is based on these reasons. On Monday, May 23rd, 2022, the Spokane City Council, pursuant to Ordinance C36211, voted to alter land use within heavy industrial areas citywide to allow for a regional emergency homeless shelter to operate within the heavy industrial zone. The site-specific location selected to serve as a regional shelter is located at 4320 East Trent Avenue. The City Council listed Ordinance C36211 on the agenda as a first reading ordinance, but procedurally passed it as an emergency ordinance. In citing imminent threat, the City of Spokane avoided public comment and evaded the requirements of WAC 197-11 and all SEPA laws. Essentially, the City Council overhauled the comprehensive plan to alter land use within heavy industrial zones using homelessness as the mechanism to achieve this result. The site selected to operate as a regional emergency shelter is within an area that is known or suspected to have toxic substances. In fact, there is a Superfund site registered on the EPA's national priority list approximately 1 mile from the proposed regional shelter. The Superfund site is contaminated by PCBs that impacted the soil, groundwater, and sludge. According to the EPA, PCBs are known to travel miles. In addition to exposure to PCB contamination, the building selected to operate as the regional emergency shelter previously manufactured camping equipment, which potentially could involve the use of per and polyfluoroalkyls, or PFAs. The CDC recently issued a 682-page report on the harmful impacts from exposure to PFAs. Such symptoms and ailments are similar to those impacted by drug and alcohol use, which is supposed to run rampant amongst Camp Hope and within the homeless community. The results of the actions of the City Council has potentially sentenced the homeless individuals to an environment that poses far greater health risks than living in a tent. And absent compliance with the SEPA laws, there's no way to know what contaminants or the levels thereof the homeless population will be exposed to. It is only a given they will be. And altering land use within heavy industrial areas citywide, this also allows for future construction of other dwellings, including low-income housing under similar conditions. As a comparative, the City of Spokane sought to create a new development by the banks of the Spokane River, now known as Kendall Yards. This community was also built in an environment known to possess toxic substances. However, prior to development, the city applied for and received a $600,000 grant through the Brownfield program from the EPA and removed the contaminants prior to construction. This remedial effort took approximately 1 year to complete. I ask that the City Council vote no on approving this lease until further considerations of the testimony I just gave can be investigated. Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the requested public comment. That brings us to council commentary. Who'd like to go first? Councilmember Wilkerson.
Thank you, and truly we thank everybody for their comments. This past weekend, I was in the city of Vancouver, Washington, and had the opportunity to see up firsthand pallet homes in an RV park. It works. It was well run. A comprehensive plan is what I've been asking for and council's been asking for since day one, comprehensive and integrated. It has been piecemeal and reactive instead of proactive as we go forward. Yes, another shelter is needed. But if the administration is opposed to RV parks and pallet homes and tiny homes, then you don't have the big picture. We're just trying to put everybody and make them fit in this one space. It will not work. So, yes, we do need a vision. We need choices as much as we can afford as citizens, because there still is a financial factor to all of this. And yes, you have heard, when we hear these presentations, it looks like Swiss cheese. There are lots of holes that there are still not answers to. City Administrator said on July 11th, he'll be coming before us with the operator agreement, the provider of services. He will have for us a budget of what indoor plumbing looks like and all those other things that add up to the total package of our homeless issues. So tonight, I am going to vote for the building, but I want you to know it's just a building. And unless we have the right providers in that building doing the work and the services, and this is why I push the administration, that y'all come to us with a plan for an RV park and pallet homes, then what we all are envisioning is not going to happen.
Councilmember Sapone.
Can I ask Johnny a couple questions?
Of course.
Oh, Johnny, we've been talking about July 11th coming forward with the operator agreement too, and today we were talking a lot about the lease and the potential of us purchasing it as an asset for the city. Can we wait 2 weeks to defer this and do that? Because there was a lot of concerns that we had about the tenant improvements being a benefit to the landlord, and the city, if we purchase the building, would end up paying for those tenant improvements that are supposed to be a gift to the building.
Thank you, Council Members Opponent. Johnny Perkins, City Administrator. Council President, members of the City Council, appreciate the opportunity to discuss the Trent lease. That's a very challenging prospect at this point for a number of reasons. One, the owner has another potential tenant in abeyance right now that is waiting to assume a lease should we not be able to complete negotiations and ultimately execute one. Secondarily, there's challenges with materials, subcontractors, and while earlier today I discussed August 1 as a target date for a shelter opening, if we have any delays as it relates to some of the things that we're proposing to bring forward, then we could have potentially another 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 30-day delay in us getting into the shelter and operating based on those tenant improvements. So, I would ask for this council to consider moving this forward this evening, as I'm hesitant to add any more delays to this portion of this process due to the owner having potential options for another tenant, as well as the what's uncertainty about the materials and the contractors in the current contractual environment that we're in with development construction.
A couple more.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll do all the questions for Johnny at one time,
Okay.
so go ahead.
Okay. And then don't go on my spiel next? Okay. Second, Councilmember Wilkerson was just talking about the big picture. We've had kind of discussions about the big picture that I think particularly Zeke was kind of mentioning too, about what does that look like, especially with the commerce funding, that we have to have an application wrap really quickly. And so I'm going to lay out the things I think we've been talking about, and I just want to say, is the administration supportive of all of these things? And I think the answer is most of them, but I'd like to get it to the public. So we're talking about funding for outreach to get people into shelters, congregate shelter like Trent, pallet shelters or tiny homes, rapid capital acquisition, so getting hotels and turning them into permanent supportive housing, and safe RV parking. So is that something that the administration is supportive of?
So I can speak to 3 of those 4 with certainty. The 4th one, I'd have to follow up a little bit more with the mayor directly. But on the outreach, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that we're looking at planning is sending some of our teams into the WashDOT property to do some pre-assessment prior to the Trent shelter opening, so we can understand that population and what some of those needs would be. On the pallet shelter, you're right, council member, there's a discussion going on with the state and the Department of Commerce. We are a part of that discussion with all of you, and certainly the administration is looking at other potential options such as pallet shelters. Having the Trent shelter is only one piece of a global solution to the challenge of homelessness that's faced with our city. In terms of hotels and acquisitions or other ways to offer those amenities, administration is also supportive of that. I would need to have further discussions with the mayor. I don't want to speak for her or misspeak as it relates to the RV parking. I have not had any personal detailed conversations with her about that item specifically, but I can speak to the other 3 with assurance that the mayor and the administration support those 110%.
Thank you.
So, Johnny, you and I had a conversation about RV parking, and you mentioned that in San Diego, that was what you did, and it did work. Can you address that just a little bit? I've
Sure.
got other questions, too.
Thank you, Councilmember Kinnear. Yeah, there was a place where their location for cars, RVs, there were certain rules. People came in at a certain time. They had to exit by a certain time. but there were certain rules that individuals had to follow. There was security there and other safe assurances for not only the guests that were there, but any community neighbors or businesses in the surrounding area. So that has been done before. We just have to make sure that you're caring for those that are there and you have strict rules that monitor so everybody's there in a safe manner.
And so we're looking at a provider right now. You don't have that firmed up yet, correct?
I have a provider, an organization, the Guardians Foundation,
Okay.
who would do the operating portion of Trent. The Salvation Army would be the organization that would case manage and lead the services entity and component of the shelter.
And we have capacity from 150 to 250 people. Would they need time to ramp up? Because there might be an expectation from the community that 250 people are going to be put in there day one. Can you address that a little bit?
Yes. So there will be a time. August 1 would be the hope for the first day that those needing the shelter could occupy it. Will we have minimum 150 to minimum 250 on August 1? No. Part of the discussions, not only with the operating entity, the Guardians Foundation, but the service provider, the Salvation Army, is to understand what staffing levels are you capable of providing now? What would you need if the number went to 175, 200? And how would we operate to accommodate that? Same question for the Salvation Army as we are having these discussions and negotiations. What staffing levels are needed, not just for your staff, but as we look at talking to some of the providers who would offer some of the wraparound services, what service levels would be needed there in order to get that fully operationalized, if you will, by August 1. I don't expect everything to be 110% going on August 1. I hope that's the case, but I think we have to be realistic and allow for staffing, people, and understanding the operations of both the Salvation Army and the Guardians Foundation.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stratton.
Beds or mats by August 1? Do we know?
Beds.
What kind of beds?
Let me get back to you, Councilmember Stratton. I don't want to misspeak and state the wrong.
And will we have separation, group separation?
Yes, that's one of the things that are in the tenant improvements, having some separation dividers installed as it relates to some of the occupants that'll be there and separating individuals.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zepone.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could address the concerns around the baseline services. I think everyone's really concerned, and we are too, about what it will look like for residents of a shelter. Some of those that came up tonight were about bathroom situations, showers, laundry, private spaces. What will it be like for residents when we're closing down Camp Hope and hoping to transition them there? Will they have those baseline services?
So the baseline services of restrooms and showers will be there on day one, August 1. There will be private areas within the operation. It goes back to the separation Councilmember Stratton was referring to, but there'll be private areas where people will be able to privatize. The wraparound services, that conversation is still ongoing. The vision and the goal is to have operators on site. There's a nice area that I call the administrative area before you actually get into the shelter area that could be utilized for some of those wraparound services. And that's part of the discussion with the Salvation Army. What is realistic? What can we really do? Here's our vision and goal. How do we make that happen? And what would be the limitations to getting that going in the manner we'd like to see it done?
Any more questions for Mr. Perkins? All right. We'll release you.
Don't go too far.
Yeah, we'll release you for now. We'll see.
And I have brought my Deputy City Attorney, James Richmond, with me in case there's any questions on that side, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Continued council commentary. Anyone? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I've said a lot about this over the last few months, but I support it. I think we have to move forward. We have no choice. I think some of the actions that we've taken or even the inactions that we've made have made some issues quite worse in some neighborhoods around our community, and we have to make up for that. And so we absolutely have to move forward on this. I just really hope that we can get other jurisdictions to the table and that we can start to actually address this regionally. You know, every shelter gets cited in the city of Spokane, and it's understandable. There's a lot of impact here and a lot of needs, but there also is in other communities throughout the region. And so it's really frustrating, but we've got to start focusing on identifying how we can spread these resources out across the region. That's got to be the next discussion point. This is a next step. It's not the last step, but the solution is going to come from citing these resources across the region and not locating them all simply in the city, right in our backyard.
Councilmember Stratton.
See if I can make sense of my notes here. First, I want to thank Laria for the editorial that was in the paper. I made a copy of it. Thank you. It was very well written, and it spoke a lot to compassion and some of the things that keep me awake at night worrying about homeless people. Second, I want to address an issue quickly because I've heard it, and Chris Patterson, and I don't think Chris is here, maybe not. Now we kind of see each other and we kind of joke about it a little bit, about the, please make sure this isn't political. And what I tell people when I hear make sure this isn't a political decision, and what I tell people is that in my district, in my neighborhoods, when I go to their neighborhood council meetings, my constituents do not care who I voted for president, right? They care that their parks are safe, that their streets are swept, that their garbage is picked up, that their snow is plowed off the streets. And the other thing is that we are spending money wisely and that we are taking care of our community. So I want people to understand that that's the value that I make my decisions from. And those values are important to me. I feel that this has brought out the worst in us. This issue has brought out the worst in us. We've done a lot of blaming. We've done a lot of, there's a lot of anger. The emails that are going back and forth are, to me, just unfortunate that we've gotten to this place, that we're not talking. We're afraid to disagree because we'll lose our tempers. And I feel bad about that. I feel bad that as a community we haven't been able to come together, even as a council and an administration, because things have moved so quickly. And to sit up here and be told, if you don't vote for this shelter, there is no, we don't have any other, there's not a plan B, is really disappointing to me, that we have known about this for so long and we don't have a plan B. We have known about this for so long and we haven't had joint meetings with the people that do tiny homes, pallet homes, the parking lots for motor homes. We had a discussion with an organization in Seattle that is working with municipalities all around the state that takes 60 days to go in and set up not only the tiny home structure, but also the wraparound services. They can price everything out. You can get it in a sheet of paper. But I'm sitting here with my fellow council members going, okay, so I'm learning the partnerships now, which I appreciate all the partnerships that are involved in this. We're talking, putting a lot of work in a good neighbor agreement, but yet we have one provider that hopefully, because Mr. Perkins has created some really good relationships in this community, hopefully they will sign one, but we've been told one of those providers does not sign good neighbor agreements. So now I worry about the businesses around there, that if we don't have a good neighbor agreement, what's that going to be like for those businesses around the area? I don't know the cost of wraparound services. I don't know the total cost for programs yearly for 5 years. What's that going to cost us in 5 years? How many beds do we actually need? I don't even know how many people are going to go to that shelter. And if I did know that, then I don't know if they don't go there, where do they go? So it's, this has really been frustrating. And for those of us that care, I have been to Camp Hope. I have met amazing people at Camp Hope. I will always think about Mary, who is in her 70s maybe, in a walker, living in a tent. That to me is just wrong. Now, would I have picked her up and taken her to the Trent shelter? No, because she doesn't belong there. Would I have had groups of social workers in that community 6 months ago to start talking to people and interviewing them to see where we could take them? Yes, but we didn't do that. We've done nothing. So it's a big problem that we're trying to fix. And unfortunately, it's pitted us against each other, and that's the last thing we need. And then I hear, this is a step in the right direction. Just vote for this, it's a step in the right direction. What's the direction? I know I've heard phase 1 and phase 2. What's the timeline? My fear is that we're going to open this shelter. They've got the votes. It's going to pass. They're going to open it. The communication hasn't been great. We take responsibility. I take responsibility for that as well. But what happens if it's slow? And we're going to open those doors. We're going to force people into the Trent shelter. And then if they don't go in, we're going to be able to say, we have available beds, and you're not using that shelter, so now we get to take you off the streets because we don't want to see you. We don't want to see you out here. That keeps me awake at night. Where's Mary going to go? I met a young kid, 27 years old. He worked. He was in school. He was priced out of his apartment, and he had to pay for medication. And so what he decided to do was go to Camp Hope. He had a great tent. He had everything set up. That's how he was choosing to live, so he could finish school, get his degree, continue working so he could pay for his medication. Those are the core root of the problems, why people are ending up there. I also want people to know that I've lived through a little bit of this. I had a family member who was alcoholic and homeless from time to time. So I've been down some pretty dark alleys. I've been in detox with him. I've picked him up several times and brought him back to my mom's house. So it's not that we're sitting up here and making decisions without the experience, because we all have stories. We all have our life stories. And to wrap this up, the homeless get caught in the middle. The people that need the help are caught in the middle of us not deciding or not being able to make those decisions. I can't support this. I have tried with every ounce of my being to find a way that I can live with myself and say, yes, this is a path forward, because I don't think it is. And I don't think there's enough information out there for us to make good decisions. And until I know that people are going to be treated with respect and dignity and get the wraparound services that they need, and I will tell you, in my case, I didn't get it here for my brother. I didn't get it in Spokane. I got it at the tribes up in Wellpennant. And it took me 2 years to get those services for him. So I have a lot of angst over this. And I just want people to know we care, and I'm sorry that it's been such a negative experience for everybody. It's a big decision. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of unanswered questions. And for those reasons, I can't vote for it. But I hope that we can all respect each other and continue to have conversations. I'm not your enemy, but I do expect a little more from myself and from my government. So,
Councilmember Kinnear.
I can't improve on that, so don't hate me. No, I don't hate you.
Can I do this?
Yeah, you can do that. I was a little distressed with some of the folks coming up and conflating criminality with homelessness, and that's not okay. So the people are on the street. Nobody, when they were in grade school and somebody asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be homeless. I don't think any kid says that. And I don't think this is the answer. I have a lot of angst over it as well, but I'd have angst over it either way. So I know that there is a possibility somebody can get in and out of the weather, whether it's hot, cold, or smoke. And I am, as you are, Councilmember Zappone, hopeful that we can have other options. I'm going to work hard for those other options. I'm going to talk fast and furious for those other options, because just having a huge facility to warehouse people is simply not okay. It is a stopgap, but it's not the answer to our prayers, honestly. I'm going to look to our providers throughout the community to help us, look at businesses to help us. Government is not good at this, clearly. You've seen us go through these exercises and the angst it's produced. This is not our milieu. It is something that we haven't been asked to do before. So we're trying our very best. We're listening to all you. And again, I want to thank everybody who's come down to tell us about what they're feeling and the hardship it's been for them. And I do sympathize with that. I will be supporting it, but know that I'm very anxious about doing so, because I do not think it's the answer. I think we have a long ways to go. And I'm going to fight to make sure that we get to where we need to be so that we can look at each other and say, this is okay. This is going to do, this is a step forward. This is not a step forward to me. It's a stopgap. Thank you.
Councilmember Bingle.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for showing up and being here today. I know that spending a few hours in a city council chamber is not what everybody would choose to do on a Monday night, but I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that we got to hear an array of different opinions, and I appreciate you all for being here. I want to thank the administration for all their efforts that they've put into it. I know how many thousands of hours have gone into this across all different sectors in the city, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. We have spent 6 months plus working on one building, searching for one building. When we talk about several shelters, we all agree finding one building is very difficult. Finding several is just difficulty compounding on itself. And so when we talk about a step in the right direction, and what direction is that? The direction is providing shelter and services to those in need. That's the direction of this administration. That's the direction of this council. That's what we say when we're talking about a step in the direction. What is the direction? Shelter and services to those in need. That's what we're trying to do. I appreciate people from all over the spectrum. Zeke Smith, Phil Altmeyer, Hallie. I appreciate everybody being here. I think that everybody's expertise is really important in this. And it is hard to get everybody in one room to have those conversations, and it's hard to get people to reach out to you to do it. And so that's why one of the things that we've done in our office is we've reached out to most of these places and tried to insert ourselves into the conversation so that we can try and create a cohesive plan moving forward. And I appreciate, again, how much effort has been put in by city employees to bring everybody together and bring people to the table, whether or not it's been one time or 100 times. There has been a lot of effort from a lot of different people in this community. One of the things I thought was really important that Mr. Phil Altmeyer said was that I think we all agree on a lot of things. We want shelter, we want a place to eat, we want a working toilet, we want a shower, we want laundry, we want all of that for everybody. That's not in dispute. I think that we're all there on the same page. And again, I appreciate all the efforts of everybody there. I appreciate, again, how much the business community has stepped up in the city to fund things out of their own pockets that when government was failing in ways that it should be excelling, they didn't wait for better solutions from us. They stood up, they took action. I appreciate Mr. Stone purchasing that building and creating a pathway forward for us to have a place to get a significant amount of shelter to a significant amount of people that need it. I think that's commendable. I see a lot of people disparaging people who are stepping up out of the goodness of their own heart. Money from their own pockets, not from anybody else's, not asking anybody else for support. When the support wasn't there, they stood up, they took it. They are bearing that burden on their shoulders more than anybody else. I don't think that's anything that we should be demonizing. I think that we should be applauding that. I think that's really incredible. We have addressed a lot of the concerns about, what's best for the homeless. I agree. We are concerned about services. We want to make sure that people have access to health care and addiction treatments and whatever it is that they need. If it's rapid rehousing, let's make sure they get it. If it's housing in general, affordable housing, market rate housing, these are all parts of the conversation that we're all, tackling together. We all share those concerns and want to see those services provided for folks who need it. And then it's also hard to balance that with, I hear what you're saying, Councilwoman Kinnear, when you say, you don't like people equating criminality with homelessness. I agree, not all homeless folks are criminals. And that's important to say. But it's also important to highlight that in the area around the site at WashDOT, we have seen a significant increase in crime over the last months. And to not see that, the rise in crime around that area would require blinders. There are elements that also need to be taken into account, and I think that's really important. But one of the things that I think that this Trent shelter will allow us to do is it will help us to connect people to shelter and services that are desperately needed. Summer is here. Extreme temperatures are coming. We've been lucky that it hasn't been that hot to date. The heat is coming. Quickly the smoke is coming. Quickly the winter is coming. This is a step for us to get in the right direction. And again, that direction is shelter and services to those who need it.
Councilmember Zappone.
Yeah, so I've been very torn on this all day. I'm balancing between what is good policy and effective, efficient policy that saves us money in the long term and does good work versus being pragmatic and making progress and getting there. And I know best policy is not always the thing that's going to happen. But throughout this process that has been months long, I think we have seen progress. There have been compromises that have been made. I think if this was brought up for a vote back in March, the shelter would not be as successful as it will hopefully be. I still don't think we're all the way there. And I've seen compromise on both sides. It's going to start at 150 instead of starting at 250. I appreciate that compromise. There's just a lot of unknowns around it still. We don't know the full costs. We don't know how it's going to work with the operator and the services. We don't know how it fits in the big picture like I was just talking about. We don't even know if the mayor is supportive of all of the big picture things that the community is talking about. I'm hopeful that the mayor will compromise and collaborate with council as we have been collaborating and compromising towards her priorities. I also am hopeful that some of the costs can be improved. We have a lease, but potentially there's an opportunity to buy that could be negotiated. And I hope that the seller does not try to make a lot of money off of homelessness. I don't think that's the goal. But there are ways that there could be money made. Tenant improvements, the value of the building is going to go up. If we are to buy that, I hope the city were to buy that, I would hope that we are not paid double for those services. I also would hope potentially if there's being money made, those profits could be reinvested into homelessness and not being spent on making money. And so those things give me a lot of anxiety. This is about using tax dollars well. And I think we're getting close. That's why I was hopeful for 2 more weeks. I think we would get even better, but I understand we need to make progress, and time is of the essence too. And so I'll be supporting it because I'm not always an idealist, although I like to think I am, but I can be pragmatic too. And this isn't the end. There's a lot more work to do. And that big picture is really the next step, and I'm hopeful that we can keep working together on it.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Thank you. There's a lot of angst on both sides, but we're here because we don't have a plan. Haven't had one, don't have one going forward yet. And so there is the rub. Council has given direction on homelessness. Scattered sites has been a big conversation over the last 18 months coming out of that department. We can set policy and give direction, but council does not execute. So the administration has to own this. So that's a big part of how we go forward. As we're sitting here and as you're sitting there, ask what the next step is. Councilmember Stratton brought it up. If this does not fly, which I hope it does work, then what's next? I think we have the ability to do more than one thing at one time. It just can't be about the shelter. Can we be working on pallet homes at the same time? Can we be doing the RV park? Can there be scattered sites? And I know mental health facilities can be in neighborhoods. My home has been in Browns Addition since 1976. And I provide for 20 men. So it can be part of a community based on the size. No, a neighborhood cannot absorb 100 people. That's almost like a small city. But 20 people, 25 people, that can create a community where they can coexist with their neighbors. So my point really is, the challenge is we don't have a plan. I continue to ask for it. I look forward to seeing it. I look forward to partnering with whomever to get us there going forward. But that's where we have to start. And that should not be political.
Any other comments? All right. Well, my reward for being moderator is I get to go last. But I really appreciate everyone being here, and not just being here tonight. I'm looking around and recognizing so many of you who've spoken to us and sent us emails and are passionate, and I know that you've been meeting with other people and collaborating and working on things. So I really appreciate that attention. And frankly, we're moving for the first time in the 6.5 years I've been on council in a more focused direction with administration and council together than we have. And I want to give some credit to you all for doing it, because for so long there was Camp A and Camp B, and that gave the politicians an excuse not to do anything. So thanks for that. I want to talk just a little bit about the lease and some of my concerns about it. I'm supporting tonight signing it, but I do have some concerns, and I just want to make a record of it for nothing else for the future. And then I want to get into which I think is the bigger challenge is where are we going to go next? What are we going to do? So and these aren't new concerns about the lease, but one of my big concerns about the lease was when the owners of the property were giving several council members a tour. They passed, the real estate professionals passed out a brochure that said the price was under $20,000 a month and no management fee. And so that seemed like a good idea at the time, and the council members reported back to the administration, yeah, this looks good, let's do it. And then when it was announced that we were going to do it, the price went up quite a bit, significantly more than we're paying now. And there was a management fee, and there were other issues, and, you know, I understand I was not part of the bargaining team, but it was some hard bargaining, and our team made some good progress from where it was. I still think, in my heart of hearts, that we could have raised the Washington Consumer Protection Act and said, hey, you can't bait and switch. You have to do this. And I think we could have perhaps done that and gotten to the price that it was originally being circulated with us, which assumedly was the fair market price at the time. But that said, you know, we are where we are. We don't have a better option than this. And I have been for this shelter before it was even identified, because we need so much more capacity. So we'll get into what else needs to happen, but we need more shelter beds. We need all kinds of people have said, and we need surge capacity in a heat wave, in a smoke out, or in a cold snap. We just need it. And the convention center obviously is not a solution, but we need one unified place that everybody knows when it gets really bad, they can all go there. And I think this does that for us. I'm glad that they put in a new clause that says we can purchase it. As we talked about in briefing session today, and I pretty much, I think, confirmed with City Legal, it doesn't really get us anything because you can't compel an arbitration over the appraisal price. It's just whatever the owner's willing to sell it to us for is essentially the deal, so it doesn't really compel much. But it did get us all thinking, and I am going to propose shortly after we sign this lease that we start negotiations to purchase it. It's going to save us a lot of money in the long time. It will give us more control, and I think it will give some confidence to people that are just suspicious of how this all happened, that the city will have it. And also, all these improvements that the business community has stepped up to make, we'll be able to take advantage of that in the long term as a city asset. So I'm going to be proposing that we do that. We have American Rescue Plan Act funds to do that. And I think it will save us money, and it'll be a better facility, and we can be confident investing in those bathrooms that need to be made because we know we'll have the building for as long as we need it. And although we are hoping that in 5 years, homelessness is a very different situation than it is now, we could probably make very good use of a facility like this. And if we can't, rising real estate prices, we could sell it. So I'm proposing that we do that. But what I really want to talk about is the change in people's minds and attitudes. Back, when I got out of college at Whitworth, probably like a lot of other college students here, I thought, look, we've got the answers now. We'll just go out and tell everyone, and they'll change it, right? And I discovered, like many other youth who care, that it's not really about getting the right answer. Like, the answers are there. It's how do you change people's minds and hearts to get there together. And what I want to remind you of, a dark day, a dark week, and then how it's gotten better. And that is this. A year ago, this week, the city was overseeing the closing of the most utilized, popular, co-ed, low-barrier, 24/7 shelter on West Mission. We were closing it, and even though City Council had passed a law that if you're going to close something, in this case for some remodeling and changing it to something else, you had to replace those beds. And the city didn't do it. And sure enough, a kind of small protest started at City Hall called Camp Hope 2.0 to protest that those 100 beds weren't replaced. And then they moved out to the WashDOT property, and at that time there were less than 100 people protesting. It was about those 100 beds. And of course, we didn't manage that very well, and now there's over 500 people there. If we should have been, in a better world, having this debate a year ago this week about where the new shelter was, we should have been. We missed that boat, and partly we didn't have enough alignment. We didn't have enough alignment with the mayor's office and the council. We didn't have enough alignment in the community. There were people at that time testifying in front of us, sending us emails and telling us, do not open low barrier shelter beds. That's bad. You'll just attract more people here. If you just stop doing it, people will leave. And of course, that didn't happen. But what I am gratified about is seeing the broad variety of people who are here and who are peppering my inbox saying, get that shelter open as soon as you can. And that is a complete shift. Now, there may be different reasons. I agree with Councilmember Stratton that some people are thinking, if we just set up a shelter with some beds and it's not very pleasant and people don't come, then we can arrest people and remove their camp. There are some people who think that, but I think most people just know that there's a lot of trauma in the world and we have to meet people where they are before we can help them take steps to where they're going. So that's the vision that I have in our new community, is that we are going to provide low shelter beds in this shelter, and we're going to create pallet home encampments. We're going to have safe RV parking. We're going to go to our existing shelter partners and figure out how to expand. We are going to assess people and figure out what their needs are, and we're going to tailor their housing situation for their needs and so that it works for them. And as many of you know, the Department of Commerce has earmarked $24 million to help us rehouse the people in Camp Hope, and their requirements are that half of them have to get into permanent housing with that money or we don't get the money, and that it has to be better housing perceived by them than it is now. So you can't just say, you all have to go to Trent Street. You have to say, no, you RV people, you've got a place. Car people, if you're a domestic violence victim, we're going to find a place that's safe for you. If you've got a behavioral health, we're going to hook you up with those services. So that's the plan that council and the mayor and service providers are working on right now. So there is some real light at the end of this tunnel, and there's a whole nother group of people working on building 1,000 permanently affordable units that would house 2,000 people in this county. Most of that money has been identified, and most of it's just gap funding. So we're going in that direction, that within 2 years, those could be in place. So there are things happening, as much as it might feel like a nightmare for some people, and whether that's someone who is homeless or someone who's observing people who are homeless, there is a change. And the last thing that I just want to just put out to people is that the rhetoric and the language has gotten better in the last couple years, more recently, but I still just want to remember that all people are people. They're not other. They're not the homeless, the vagrants, the criminals. People kind of use that language sometimes. And really, as was already mentioned here, that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's father, somebody's grandmother. They're all people just like us. And even though we need to come up with good solutions and provide support and hold people accountable, we have to remember that in Spokane, we really all belong, and we need each other, and we need to support each other. And so with that, if you prepare to vote. Okay, so that passes 6-1. And now we're going to some hearings.
H1, hearing on Resolution 2022-56, adopting the 2023-2028 six-year comprehensive street program, various neighborhoods.
Welcome, Kevin. How are you going to follow that?
Yes. No, it's been a long evening. Good evening, Council President and Council members, Kevin Picanso, Integrated Capital Management, for our hearing on our adoption of our 2023 through 2028 update to our six-year comprehensive street program. Requested action today is for the council to consider and adopt the six-year comprehensive street program, again for 2023 through 2028. Getting into the kind of content or specifics, so we start off with this slide as a reminder of the role of our six-year street program. That's where we adopt and implement the goals and policies of our transportation chapter of our comprehensive plan. Once projects are included in the six-year program, we can seek or identify funding for those projects, whether that be with local dollars or through grant dollars and other sources. Once full funding is identified for projects, we can move forward into design and implementation through construction. Now, what's unique about the streets portion of our capital improvement program is that by state law, we're required to have an updated program each year prior to July 1st. Those updates that we do each year is largely new projects coming in the program, which is kind of the focus of the presentation this evening, as well as update you on projects coming out of the program, and then annually we make sort of content updates and adjustments to various projects that are already in the program. First, kind of this overview or summary, we have 15 new projects going into the program this year. They are largely a result of successful grant awards over the last year or so. It's really a heavy emphasis in terms of those grant awards. The vast majority of those grants fall under two umbrellas that I would describe as either street and bridge preservation, number one, or two, pedestrian and bike-related projects, ped bike safety. And then finally, from a summary perspective, there were no new projects going into the program this year that are included on that reconstruction or rebuild matrix that is kind of discussed every year. So no changes in that regard. For some of the projects coming out of the program, this list of projects are Generally, projects that were either constructed last year or been constructed this spring, and therefore won't continue into 2023, and therefore don't need to be in that 2023 through 2028 program any longer. So overview of the location of all the new projects scattered around town, a heavy number of projects in the northeast, some projects downtown on the North Bank, and then a handful of projects to the south and in northwest Spokane. Just quickly going through each of the projects, and again, this is content you've all seen before. I'll try to go through it quickly. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. First two projects are both state bridge grant funded projects to improve the bridge deck conditions. First, the Maple Street bridge deck. That deck will be ground down and overlaid with a new concrete decking, and there'll be repaired joints and isolated deck issues to address as well. Next project, the Washington Stevens, the 3 bridges through Riverfront Park. We'll peel off the asphalt layer, make some repairs to the underlying bridge deck itself, as well as the joints, and then put back a more durable concrete surface, not the asphalt type surface that you see out there today. Third project, also a grant-funded project through the state's Ped Bike Safety Program. The highlights for this project are installation of a pedestrian hybrid beacon at the Green Street Carlisle intersection. This is just north of the river in SCC, as well as sidewalk infill improvements on Carlisle from Green Street east to Frey Avenue, some interrelationship with the Children of the Sun Trail and ongoing WashDOT NSC construction, and we're in close coordination with them on that work. Second project here, or another project here, is also a similar program, but this is through the state's Safe Routes to School program, also installing a pedestrian hybrid beacon and improve crossing safety. This is adjacent to the Nevada Park and the middle school to the west. Another Safe Routes to School funded project related to Bemis Elementary. This project will install infill sidewalk along Liberty Avenue, some bump outs for some traffic calming benefits, as well as a RRFB at the Cortland and Crestline intersection. Next project is a small sidewalk infill project for the southern portion of Haven Street within the Haven Market Couplet in Hilliard. It's installed sidewalk infill along the west side of Haven Street. It's a transit route and fills a key gap in that corridor. Next project is a study for Pacific Avenue Greenway. Look at a future phase. We do have a planned project west of Sherman Street. This study will look at a phase 2, if you will, of Pacific Avenue Greenway from Sherman Street east to Sprague Way, and then connecting down to Sprague Avenue and Benburg Trail. Next two projects are through the state's what's referred to as the NHS Asset Management Program, which is very narrowly defined and specific to street preservation type work. These are two very large grant awards, each of them funding multiple locations spread across the city. The first package has 3 locations on Market Street to the north in Hilliard, 29th Avenue on the South Hill, and a segment of Monroe Street south of Wellesley Avenue. And then the second package also includes another segment of 29th Avenue, a short segment of Washington Street north of the river, a second segment of Monroe from Wellesley to Francis, and then a segment of Lincoln Road as well in northeast Spokane. It's also, next project, also a street preservation project funded through a different program through SRTC, $1 million project for traditional grind and overlay work on Haven Street within the Haven Market Couplet. Next project is Maple and Ash chip seal. This will apply a chip seal coat from Northwest Boulevard north to Rowan Avenue. As part of this project, we'll also look to install bike lanes as well, bike lane striping. Next project is Illinois Avenue. I've briefed you separately on a couple occasions on this project. This is a project that's morphed from a traditional street preservation project that we've pulled in-house as a capital project and been able, through our public outreach and planning effort, identify some low-hanging fruit opportunities to install a shared use pathway along the bluff side of Illinois Avenue, provide some improved bike and pedestrian facilities. This project will install 3 to 4 enhanced ped crossings as well, so the neighborhood to the north can connect to the shared use path. And then as a phase of the project, we'll, with some traffic calming money that this council authorized, also install some plazas or overlooks, one on either end of the project. And there's just some images I've shared with you in the past of that work. Next project is the actual Pacific Avenue Greenway construction. This was included in the Move Ahead Washington state funding package. The limits of work are from Bernard east to Sherman Avenue. Highlights of the work include two new traffic signals at the Pacific Avenue intersections with Brown and Division Street. Additional improvements would include wayfinding, some traffic calming features as well to calm traffic and make it a comfortable route for bikes and pedestrians. Next project was this was Cook Street Greenway, also a Move Ahead Washington project. It's kind of filling the gaps, if you will, along the planned Cook Street Greenway. There have been some improvements that have already been implemented. This particular project would be focused more on the bike and pedestrian crossings at arterial roadways, either with pedestrian hybrid beacons or RFBs, as well as some other kind of related improvements. And then last but not least, Inland Empire Way study. This is an offshoot or kind of a next phase, if you will, of a look at Inland Empire Way related to the US 195 corridor study that you adopted earlier. This is kind of a springboard or outcome of that work to look closer to Inland Empire. Just a quick summary in terms of some of the financials, the value of the new projects that I just alluded to, roughly $36 million. About 3/4 of that is being funded through grant dollars, and about $12 million in work from projects completed coming out of the program. Just some links to the kind of the full detailed document if you're interested. It's kind of summary of our process. Safe to say we had lots of presentations like this before council and other advisory bodies, leading to requested adoption here today. So that concludes my presentation.
Councilmember Stratton.
I just want to confirm that Strong Road is still on the plan. The challenge is the funding piece, correct?
Correct. Strong Road
Okay.
is still in the program.
Okay.
Like many of our rebuild projects, they're unfunded until we find and identify usually grant dollars to contribute, to the construction of that project.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to, there was an urban legend going around that it was set to be rebuilt next year and that we took it off. That wasn't the case. But what did happen, and I don't think we caught it early enough to change it, is that the planning year dollars was moved from one year to the next.
And that's something, it came into the program in the last year of the program. It was continues in the last year of the program. That's something we can talk about next year.
Well, no, that's
Wanna
just
move
my
it forward a year or two.
Yeah.
That
My
can happen.
request is next year, don't do that. We should have caught it earlier, but next year, and it's kind of too late to do it now because it's due. But next year, check with us before you move that. I understand why you did it, but just check with us that way.
And I will just add, though, that it's fairly normal when we have those projects that are unfunded, looking at the funding picture, the grant cycles, trying to be realistic about when that funding can occur.
Oh, yeah. I just want to make sure we do it. And the other thing I want to say, to your great credit, is last year we were very grumpy about this process and trying to do it. And you've responded fabulously in getting us involved in all the things. And so you've done a great job, and I'm totally happy. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Prepare to vote. All right, look, all that time, you earned a 7-0. Excellent. All right. We have another hearing/ordinance.
Final reading ordinance C 36224 relating to short plat notification, amending Spokane Municipal Code, section 17G.060.100, 17G.060T.003, 17G.060.130, and 17G.080.040.
And Amanda, before you start, I thought we'd just clarify. You might remember we amended it this afternoon, but suggested they give us a little more precise language, and they emailed that to us. And they circulated, and I had it up, and now my screensaver's on, but just a second.
I can look it up. I don't remember getting it.
I just want to cover it because I know there's some people here who are concerned about it. Here it is. So the language now in the table that talks about whether or not, what kind of notice is for short plats, not counting the ones with, is it minor engineering review? Is that the term that we're using?
Correct. Involving minor engineering review.
Yeah.
As defined in SMC 17G080040C2.
Yeah, so this doesn't apply to that. But if it's something that takes more than minor engineering review, it will now add at Councilmember Kinnear's request that it requires the posting of signs unless it is only 2 to 4 lots, in addition to mailing to property owners within 400 feet, I believe.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the change. But I'm looking for a motion to formally make the amendment because we changed it just a little bit from this afternoon.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's moved second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay. Amanda, take it away.
Thank you, Council President. So I have tried to capture the changes from this afternoon's advanced briefing, but to reflect the record from Plan Commission, you will see numbers on screen that reflect what we talked about with them or recommendations that were forwarded to you by them. So the code changes that we are talking about for Shaping Spokane Housing are all either in alignment with or advancing policies, goals, and actions from the documents you see on screen. So our comprehensive plan, the housing action plan, council's implementation plan, the mayor's emergency proclamation, and I would like to highlight that all of these code changes that are a part of Shaping Spokane Housing have been chosen for their alignment with the state legislature's guidance on advancing housing across the state. So that's RCW 3670A 600. So that has really shaped the foundation of this code work, and we've tried very hard to make sure that that aligns across all of those documents as much as we can. Just to highlight, so from the beginning of this process, back in November, all the way to now, between our open houses that were virtual, our in-person pop-ups that were at the winter market and also the spring market, we were able to talk to face-to-face, more than 20 seconds, 375 people approximately. So not a large swath of the city, but a fairly good number, I think, for something as dry as code amendments. The comments we have received were either included in the Plan Commission packet, which was attached to this agenda as an exhibit, or they've also been forwarded to the city clerk as a part of the public record. So I will not detail all of this, but you will see that there are some asterisks, and those are the changes that are reflected from this afternoon's advanced briefing changes. But the highlights from Plan Commission's recommendations are to add flexibility. So we're removing the minimum lot size, and we're adding a floor area ratio bonus, and that is to help small lots be able to build an ADU. We don't want to exclude them. If you have a small lot, we still want you to be able to build an ADU. Some other changes would be increasing the size, that's for attached or internal and detached as well, and then relaxing the parking requirements. And that again is to try and help those smaller lots. We don't want them to be burdened such to the point that if they don't have the space to accommodate parking, then they can't build. Those numbers were changed. So 864 for detached ADU would go to 975 or 75% of the house. And then the height increase would include a detached ADU that is not over a garage, excuse me. So that would also be 17 feet for the wall and 25 feet for the roof. And then we added additional language so that you can have an ADU with a principal structure, even if it's a duplex or triplex in RSF. What that could look like, and you'll have to excuse this image is now out of date, you would go from 600 square feet to a 975 that will be slightly larger than what you see on screen. And the logic behind that would be an off-the-shelf plan for an ADU, just a typical one that you can find online. You should be able to accommodate a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a full kitchen in that size. And that was one of the things that we had workshopped a lot with Plan Commission. So the second item would be a recommendation from the Plan Commission to remove the lot size requirement. Their recommendation on this was to remove that as a streamlining of our development code to make it similar to the other sections of code and also encourage more housing. The idea behind that being if we allow subdivisions to be whatever the underlying zoning requirements, lot dimensions are, we can get more units, more lots. So that was their recommendation on that item. The last one has to do with the short subdivisions. There are 2 code changes in your packet. So one is related to fees and one is related to the short plat notification. To set that conversation up, I did want to just address the language about minor engineering review. So we have included new language in the code that establishes a minor engineering review. So we're looking if there's existing frontage. Are there existing mainline utilities in the public right-of-way? Are there easements or public infrastructure on the site? And this kind of acts as a threshold both for the fees and for the short plats, which I will get into. So in regard to the short plat fees, what we have done is reduce both the preliminary short plat and the final short plat fees. If you are subdividing in a developed area, presumably there's going to be less need for our review and also probably less need for infrastructure. That infrastructure is likely existing. There's probably likely existing right-of-way or the mainline utilities are all there. So you would just be doing the individual tap fees. So if you happen to be developing in an undeveloped area, if you happen to be subdividing in an undeveloped area, we're going to be needing to capture the more in-depth review for current planning and also engineering, and so we've kept those fees as they currently are. When it comes to short plat notification, we've tried to align this. So if you are doing a subdivision in a developed area, we have Plan Commission's recommendation is to have no mailed notice and no site posting. So the image on screen is an example of a site posting that you would see on site typically right now that you would have for a short plat application. If you are subdividing in an undeveloped area or you're going through the standard engineering review, so you are extending utilities, extending the right-of-way, you'd go through that standard engineering review, you would have a mailed notice only. The change being from this afternoon, we have added new language now that you would have to do a site posting for subdivisions that create 5 to 9 lots. So we're excluding 2 to 4. And of course, so neighborhood councils as an agency are still getting noticed for both of these types of short subdivisions through the determination of a complete application process. And just want to highlight, residents are welcome to contact Current Planning or the Development Services Center if they have questions about development that's happening around them, even if they don't see a site posting, if they're curious. And then one other thing to highlight, our IT department is currently working on some updates to the Notify Me Spokane feature, so you can get permit updates regardless of type based on a geography if that's something you're interested in. So we're working to make sure that that is working as well as it possibly can. So I wanted to keep this very short and brief. I know we've talked about this a lot, and I just wanted to make sure that we have plenty of time for people who have waited so long to speak on this. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any remaining questions from council members while Amanda's here?
Just a comment to Amanda. You guys have done an amazing job on this and have done a lot of, personally, hand-holding through all these code changes and getting us up to speed and making it easier, I think, for our citizens and for our housing shortage. So just a shout out to you and Spencer both. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so we have 2 people signed up for this hearing/ordinance, Randy McGlynn and Mary Winkus. And come on up, Randy. And if you stay close by Amanda, you can sit down, but welcome back, Randy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council President, council members. I'd like to start off by first thanking each and every one of you for working with us, the neighborhood councils, on this. We very sincerely appreciate the amendments that you made to keep the signs for those short plats for 5 and up. That will make a huge difference. As I've mentioned before, you can never have enough communication. And when you have good, adequate communication and conversations between government and its citizens, you encourage the trust and fostering of positive things in our community. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. And of course, we encourage council to pass this as it is. Thank you.
Mary Wiggins.
Oh, no. Yes, Mary Winkus, and thank you, Council President Biggs and members of the council. I'll just say ditto to what Randy said to make it shorter, but I also I listened on the TV this afternoon to the briefing session, and one thing that kept being said is there isn't need for notification or transparency in terms of signs because very little could change. Things don't have to change in terms of a denial of a request of a permit. What may change is what happened at Lincoln Heights when the garden project was put in and the neighborhood was used to using that area to walk through. And so after knowing that that was going to happen, and Carol Tomsick would say this, but she's working tonight, so I'll say it for her, is that they sat down with the developers and they figured out a way to include the pathways, and the neighborhood was much happier. It was a win-win, and it didn't mean that something was denied. It wasn't, and that seemed to be what was being said in the briefing this afternoon, and that's not the only outcome. The outcome can be that the neighborhood gets its say and the developer might listen and it may result in a better project. So I just am very thankful that you have listened to the neighborhood councils and have included this amendment, and I think the city will be better because of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. All right. That's all the community testimony. Any further council commentary? All right, prepare to vote.
Is your bus is really hot? Is your butt?
All right, that passes 7-0.
It's hot. It's hot.
Okay.
They are.
Sorry. That gets us to the next one.
H3, final reading ordinance C-36-225 relating to lot size transitions, accessory structures, and accessory dwelling units, amending Spokane Municipal Code sections 17C.110.200, 17C.110.225, 17C.300.100, .110.120, .130, and .140.
All right, we have several people who have signed up to testify on this, and similar to last time, I'm going to call out 3 people, and if you're the second or third, you can kind of come up closer so it goes quicker. But the first person is Linda Carroll, and then we've got Alora, I think Dirks, and then Zach Widmer.
Good evening. My name is Linda Carroll. I live in Spokane. And I first of all want to thank the council for the careful way that it's been considering adding housing types, all of which are desperately needed. And I would also say I would like to thank the council more for an earlier iteration of the change which required owner residency in ADUs, in all ADUs, and I would like to request that you reinstate that requirement for a number of reasons. First of all, if owner residency is removed completely, if you add that to fourplexes, you come up with 5 dwellings on one lot, and that's like a big flashing sign to outside developers to come in and potentially tear down existing housing to jam 5 dwellings into one lot. The result can be seen or anticipated with what happened to what's now called the Gonzaga neighborhood, which when I lived there growing up was fondly known as St. Al's. It turned from a very well taken care of family neighborhood to a patchwork where there are still family homes, but there are a lot of older homes that are neglected because they're owned by out-of-state or out-of-community absentee landlords, then allow them to run down. And places where homes have been torn down and essentially small apartment buildings have been built. The thing is that we live not only in homes, but we live in neighborhoods. And neighborhoods provide us with context. In addition, if there is an owner occupancy requirement, that spreads out the benefit of ADUs to all people who own in Spokane. What that means is those who would like an ADU to accommodate a relative, such as a young person who can't yet afford to rent their own place, or an older relative who needs care, or who want to rent it out. Everyone has that option. Everyone who owns has that option. Once you remove that requirement and you start attracting in outside developers who are in it basically for the money, it may create a greater short-term incentive for a family that maybe needs some funds to sell their home and get a quick profit from it, but it takes away from them the option to have the ongoing income that having an ADU would allow them. So I would urge you for many, many reasons to reinstate the requirement for owner occupancy for ADUs, which in themselves are wonderful things, but have the potential, if they're overdone, to blow holes in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Laura Dirks, and after Laura, Zach Widmer, and Diana Painter via video.
Hi again. I am wanting to do a detached ADU. I'd like to ask just really quick, I was not aware that it was going up to $975. Wow.
Okay.
That is exciting.
You can thank
Anyway.
Councilmember Zapone for leading that.
Who?
Councilmember Zapone led that effort.
Thank you so much. There will be 4 different, I lost my train of thought. There will be an 83-year-old, 65, 42, and 16-year-old. So there's a lot of different people that will be in both the home and the detached. Just last Friday, where my mom does live right now, she has 4 steps. I took her to her medical appointment. She came back. I had to call fire rescue. She can't make it up the steps anymore. So I'm really counting on this change tonight because it will be 1 level. Thank you for everything you've done, and I'm really excited about this. I didn't even know about it till I seen it earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Zach Widmer, and again, Diana Painter, and then Jean Brake.
Tough to follow that one up. Wow,
Yeah.
that was. Whew. Hey, I'm Zach Widmer. I just want to thank once again our planning department and planning commission. I think they've done a great job on this. I support this bill as is. I do want to say that I think that accessory dwelling units are not accessory to the people living in them. They are a housing unit. And I don't love that, in my personal opinion, we have a separate rule based on there already being an existing building. I'd like citizens to be able to be developers if they want, and I don't think that just because they've already purchased a building, that they should have further rules put on them. I think that's probably not within the realm of now, but I really support what we're doing right now, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you. All right, is Diana online? Diana Painter, if you're there, we're going to try to elevate you to be speaker. There you are. All right. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and you can start. You have up to 3 minutes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, my name is Diana. Oh,
Yep, we've got you.
Hey, oh, sorry. My name is Diana Painter. I live in Spokane. Am I speaking twice?
No, we're only hearing you once. So.
Okay, I can hear me twice. So,
Okay.
So my background is in planning and urban design, and I did serve on the Plan Commission a few years ago, and I'm also president of Spokane Preservation Advocates. But I just wanted to make very clear that I'm speaking for myself and not them. So I want that on the record. Anyway, I prepared a letter with some photos and about the ADU ordinance, and one reason I did that is because I wanted people to be able to see the photos, and I gave a thumb drive also to staff. I want to thank the Plan Commission and staff for the immense amount of effort they've put into this. I know how hard this kind of work is, so I really appreciate that. I used one example in my neighborhood that's adjacent to my property to kind of examine as a case study how I thought the existing ordinance was working. And so that's what I wrote up. I am in favor of ADUs in general. I think they're a great idea and can work really well. I would be in favor of continuing with the existing ordinances in many cases in the 600 square feet ADU. And with an increase, depending on the nuances that can be added into the ordinance for design considerations that would make possibly them more compatible with existing contexts. As it is now, the ADU ordinance goes across all, as far as I can tell, all housing zones in all areas of the city. So that's a lot of areas that the ADU needs to fit into. And you can see from the photos that I included in here, this is a 600 square foot ADU, but it's on essentially what is a second floor rather than a first floor. It's not above a garage, it's just lifted. And that's because of kind of the, what could be a little bit clumsy about calculating grade, to calculate in turn the height. And I in the letter, I won't go through this, lack of time, and also just because it would be a lot. But I've talked about the actual sizes. For example, the proposal for 975 square feet is the same size as a lot of the primary units in my neighborhood.
Diane?
So it's equal in size. Yeah.
We're at the end of your time, so.
Oh, okay.
But thanks.
So I'm glad sure.
Yeah, we've got your letter.
I handed out
Yeah, we've got your letter and your
you can
photos.
look at it.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jean Brake, and then Marilyn Derelick, if you're here, and after that, Terry Anderson by video.
Thank you, City Council, for allowing us a chance to come and speak to you. I was going to do this from the comfort of my office, but I decided I really wanted to come down and be here in person. It's been very entertaining. I do wish that those that were the low-income housing advocates and the shelter advocates had stuck around for this part, because it's really important that this is all interconnected. Housing is not one silo. It's all a series of lanes, and they're all interconnected. I represent the Emerson Garfield Neighborhood Council, and I sent an email to each of you, and I know I've gotten receipt from most of you, that our neighborhood has grave concerns because we are target zero for the developers because we're nearby, we're close to town. We are intersected by transit going up and down, so no matter how you slice or dice it, much of our neighborhood is in the crosshairs of development. If any of you have bought a house in the last 10 years, or if you bought a house recently and you didn't buy one for the last 20 years, you know that the real estate market has changed dramatically. In addition to being the Emerson Garfield Neighborhood Council Vice Chair, I'm also a real estate broker and I committed to my neighborhood quality and to my neighbors. And one thing that I've seen, and we've all seen, is the great influx of out-of-area developer dollars and investors coming into our communities and buying up homes. The one provision here, I support the 3 changes here in this phase 1, but the one provision that's most alarming is the one that removes the owner occupancy requirement. For most of us, I completely support our fellow citizen here who wants to build a dwelling for her mother and her family members. And for most low-income housing advocates, and most of us, we think of an accessory dwelling unit as just that, an accessory to the main home that we can allow our family to grow into or to rent to a fellow citizen. However, what we see is that a developer looks at that very different. They don't look at the 964 square feet. They're out of area. They don't care about our neighborhood quality, which is the lifeblood of our city. So they look at, I can now build an accessory dwelling. I can build a second home on this lot that is 75% of the main house. So it becomes a different investment vehicle for them than those of us who live here. And my fear is that we will see ever escalating prices, even more so than we see today, and we're going to lose some of our neighborhood residents. In our neighborhood, we have a large number of tenants. And so if you vote for that, losing that owner occupancy requirement, you're telling our tenants that we love you, but you can move on because your home is going to be purchased by an investor and there is no way, there's no place for them to go. There's no available rental units. So thank you very much. I see the red light came on.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I do urge you to support keeping the owner occupancy requirement.
Thanks for coming down, Gene. Marilyn.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Darlick, and thank you to all of you. And I'm just dittoing what that gentleman said. I got to hear Amanda Beck at a presentation at the Shadle Library recently. I was attending because I have a daughter who lives in the West Central neighborhood, and I've been really engaged with looking at affordable housing options and different ways of addressing the huge need. Because I know that people are not busing the homeless in from outside. I know that homelessness is a housing problem and a lack of affordable housing. And so maybe there are individual family members who have done everything they can for their loved one and they get them a bus ticket, but that's the exception, not the rule. So I really appreciate your integrity, Councilwoman Stratton. I think it speaks volumes about you taking that vote, because I agree with several of you others who expressed the same indigestion over this, the earlier vote on this shelter. I think there are so many unanswered questions. There's been lots of time to have those answered. Those answers were promised and they haven't been provided. So, you know, uncharted territory there. And yes, political decisions, which all of these are important because they do reflect our values, okay? So when you vote and how you vote definitely reflects how you place a value on every person who occupies space in Spokane. And yes, it'd be great to spread the responsibility throughout the county, but this is city business, and you're talking about city budgets, and you're talking about money that's been given to the city by the federal government, us, we, the taxpayers. So I'd really like to see a much more integrated and comprehensive plan. This ADU idea is great. I love the concept, but it should be viewed as a means of providing permanent or, you know, longer-term housing for family members and or someone who knows they could provide space for someone who needs affordable housing. It should not be for Airbnb business. And the owner should definitely be occupying the primary residence for any lot that's approved for ADU development. I think by like Gene said, the developers see this as a real boon for another great profit, you know, profitizing off of housing. And so I just really think that the requirement needs to be that the owner occupies the primary residence, and that I would add that these not be used as short-term Airbnb type, we need to create more housing. And this is one of those, like pallet homes,
Marilyn?
pallet shelters.
Marilyn?
So, thanks.
Thanks for so much for coming down and waiting for your turn. All right, Terry Anderson, I think we have you on video. Are you there, Terry? I see your name.
Yes. Can you see me and hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome. You've got up to 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, first I want to say that shelters should never replace housing and tenant protections for our vulnerable renters who are struggling to stay housed. My name is Terry Anderson, and I'm the director of the Spokane Office of the Tenants Union of Washington State, and I'm here to urge you to improve the change to this ADU policy by requiring rental relocation payment to any tenant who is displaced because of this change to this ordinance. Removing the owner occupancy requirement for accessory dwelling units means that a developer or landlord can purchase an existing rental home and add an ADU unit to the property, or a landlord can convert a garage or add a backyard building to an existing rental home where a tenant currently resides. In both of those instances, the current tenants could be displaced. I agree that we need to create more affordable rental housing because of the nearly invisible vacancy rate, skyrocketing rent increases, and a shortage of affordable housing in Spokane. ADUs should also be prohibited from becoming a short-term rental, such as an Airbnb or VRBO, so this change will result in creating additional housing for Spokane, which is good. However, it doesn't make sense to create an avenue to build more housing units without also protecting the existing renters from displacement and homelessness who currently rent the primary home where the ADUs are created. Therefore, rental relocation must be required to help tenants who are displaced when the landlord creates an ADU unit to their home or when another landlord purchases their home and adds an ADU. Currently, hundreds, if not thousands, of families and individuals rent single-family homes in Spokane and have no idea that their landlord will be able to build an additional unit on their property or convert a garage or attic into another rental unit if the owner occupancy requirement is removed. Ideally, the tenant should remain in the home during construction and renovation so that nobody will be displaced. However, it is likely that some of the projects will force tenants to move out and be displaced. In these cases, there needs to be protections for those tenants, including a full repayment of the damage deposit and all refundable fees and relocation payments so nobody loses a place to live as we create more housing. Renters in Spokane are already experiencing instability and insecurity and live in fear of becoming homeless. Tenants who call our office and attend our meetings are more fearful to speak up now than ever before because they see tenants in their buildings forced to move even when they have nowhere to move to. Their rent increases are becoming unbearable and they do not want to live in a car. Please do not add one more thing for renters to fear when their landlord decides to make two rental units where one only currently exists now by adding an ADU to the existing home. Requiring rental relocation, they create an incentive that will allow the tenant to remain. Gentrification is a displacement caused by economic growth.
You're at the end of your 3 minutes.
Am I done? Okay. Please put rental relocation so tenants won't be displaced. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of our community testimony. Any further testimony from council members? Councilmember Kinnear.
So, thank you, and thanks for everybody who came down to testify, because it's a very passionate subject for some folks. And I think we have somebody else that wants to speak, Council President.
Yeah, you completely sidestepped me like you've done before.
But
I signed up.
for this topic or open forum?
Is this open forum?
No, it's not open forum.
Never mind.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the first time you sidestepped me, Graham Banks.
Okay, not
So-
tonight.
As I was saying, I did offer to make an amendment to this requiring owner occupancy. I was a lonely voice of one, so that did not go over with the rest of the council. I still believe that we should have owner occupancy because it is a mechanism whereby we can perhaps guarantee to some extent that We won't be, people won't be swooping in to buy and convert out-of-state folks coming in, buying, converting, and displacing people. And also, Mr. Brake, you made a good point about our neighborhoods, our lifeblood. And so that's part of how we can protect those, to make sure that the people who are going to be putting in the ADUs are also living in the space. So I will be supporting this, but I did have to go on the record as saying I tried. Thank you.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I've been a bit of a broken record on the issue of housing since I've been on this council and even for some time before that. So it's really, frankly, great that we're really starting to see some progress and some big changes that are desperately needed across the city to accommodate those that are struggling to find housing, those struggling to afford housing. And it really is just a supply and demand issue. We have a lot more demand than we have supply. So prices are going up, choice is going down. And that's really kind of the issue that we're facing. And so the creation of more housing units, even in the form of ADUs, is only going to help. Increasing that supply means that we're going to have more choices, more living options. And frankly, it's going to help reduce the overall cost and the cost burden on renters overall. So I don't think that the fears are well-founded. I can understand where they come from, but I don't think they're well-founded that ultimately by removing the owner occupancy rule and allowing for the development of more ADUs, and that really has been the obstacle, I believe, to building a lot more ADUs in this community, is that requirement. I don't think that that's going to result in tenants being displaced or rising prices. I actually think it'll be the opposite. It means that we'll be more places to accommodate those that need housing, and it means that that we're going to see opportunities for prices to come down. So I actually think this is a big win. There's another big one that's going to be coming forward in a few weeks that's also going to do, I think, some really positive things for housing in our community to support those that are in need of something that's a little bit maybe smaller, maybe that fits their budget, but also that's going to help to bring the market down and will help everybody overall. So I think we're making some really important, some really big moves here, but they're ones that we really have to make because, you know, we are regulated ultimately at the state level, and we're told where growth can occur and how, and we can't really address that, not here. The county has some ability, but really it's set at the state level. And so within that very small little circle that they've given us to build in, we have to maximize enough housing for everybody who's there. And if we're not thinking about options like this that creates more efficiencies in land use, we're never going to make it. And we're going to see skyrocketing prices forever. So these are the types of moves that we have to make. They make a ton of sense. And I do think that as we look back on this in a few years, we'll see that this was the right direction for the city of Spokane to take.
Any other commentary? Councilmember Stratton.
So I need help with the way my brain is working right now. Okay, so Spencer, I may need you. My husband and I own a home. We have a nice big side lot. And let's say we decide that we want to put an ADU on our side lot or our extra yard space. And we decide we want to retire and move somewhere else and then rent those two. But the city tells me we can't do that because we have to stay in one of those to rent them. So the first thing, right?
No, that's what I was trying to do.
Right.
This would change it. This would change that.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the existing code. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be, then the first thing I'm going to do is sell everything because I don't want to stay in my house and the ADU. I'm going to sell it. So, I mean, isn't it a better chance that if we say owner occupied, that those owners that
It's only
don't,
for 3 years.
that don't want to stay there, isn't that that's a better chance of putting these on the market? Did I confuse you?
It's only 3 years, Karen. 3 years.
Well, but, so for 3 years? I mean,
I'm not
that's-
sure that it would make a big difference in terms of
Okay.
of these things coming on the market or not, it probably doesn't
It doesn't.
really
I
strongly
shouldn't
impact that.
That shouldn't enter into it.
I mean, it could. I just don't know that anybody really knows what the impact would be.
Okay.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
So it's scary that I was thinking like Councilmember Stratton. I guess I'll be supporting, but because I don't know how we could legislate people's lives for 3 years. I may be living there and the ADU is behind me and something happens and my life changes. Who's going to monitor that, first of all? And I think that that's that person's property, not to displace. I'm just talking average people. I'm in my house, something happens, then what? So I don't want to put that restriction to put a barrier to people who might want to build one, but they got to stay there for 3 years, so they feel constrained about what they can do with the next 3 years of their life. At this point, I feel we're drilling really down into people's lives and into the weeds, and they have to be able to make those decisions for themselves.
Councilmember Mingle.
Yeah, I hear what what a couple people have said, that this is a way for investors to make a buck. I don't disagree. I just happen to think that's a good thing. If we're incentivizing people to build housing by just making units and the ways that they can build more available, I think that's a very good thing for the community, because what we need is a community of investors deciding this is a good way for us to build housing, for us to maybe supplement our retirement income, or to supplement our current income, because every single homeowner is also an investor in that property. And so I think that it's a great way to see people who are not just homeowners but also outside investors making money. I think it's a win-win. I think it's good for them, and I think it's very good for the community. And I also hear that they shouldn't be used for Airbnbs or VRBOs, but frankly, units in our city are already being used for Airbnbs. And so for us to just be making more units, even if that does result in more Airbnbs, it also results in more rentals or ownership opportunities or things like that throughout the community. So I hear what people are saying, and I don't think they're wrong. I just tend to think that those are really good things. And so I'm happy to support this tonight, because again, I think competition in the marketplace is very good. Giving people options for housing is going to be very good, and I think this is going to help to drive down rents and heartburn across the city, because there's going to be more units available for people. So,
Councilmember Zepone.
Yeah, I'm excited to be supporting this. I think it's going to be a great option for people, especially looking at people our age that still live with their parents, young married couples that are working and don't have anywhere to go. This will get more options and opportunity to people, or just more people in general. I do understand the concerns around how this might impact neighborhoods, especially the owner occupancy stuff. So I'm going to be working to put together a resolution to do annual reports about ADUs. Just in general, we should know if this policy is effective, and so we should be getting an update. Are we even building enough ADUs? And then talking to the planning department about, can we also include owner occupancy? Where is that located? Then we can look at those areas and see, is it changing the neighborhood or not? And then a future council can revisit it if it is an issue and stop it. I know that's not as far as some people want, but I think it is a way to make sure that those concerns are not just forgotten in the future, but will be addressed and looked at. And if it needs to be revisited, it'll be revisited. So thank you a lot for the planning department and tons of community stakeholders who've been involved in this process. It's exciting to bring it to the vote.
Other comments? All right, well, I'm just going to add that I've, for many years on the council, been a big supporter of ADUs. They haven't quite come to fruition, and some of the excuses for that has been this owner occupancy thing. So I'm willing to try it out and see if it works, and I agree with Councilmember Zepone that as long as we're getting reports on it, we can find out if there's mischief being done, we can change it. But I just think it has that great intersection, as Councilmember Bringle was saying, between providing housing that's more affordable and actually building wealth for middle-class people. For most middle-class people, their home is their investment, and with rising property values, they can't really get anything out of it, but they could borrow against it to create an ADU and then create a lifetime of income. So I think that's good. As a practical matter, there's a shortage of builders and building materials. So again, I don't think this will radically change things, but there are some amazing modular ADUs that are being built around the country that I've watched, and I really see that possibility that we could really change housing in Spokane. And I hope that we not only remove some of the barriers to getting more affordable housing, but we actually promote it and make it easy for people so they understand how to get the financing and contractors and maybe utility credits on hookups and things like that, so we actually do it. So I think this is a really good start. So with that, prepare to vote. All right. Looks like 7-0. One more ordinance.
Final reading ordinance C 36-226 relating to permit fees for short plots, amending Spokane Municipal Code sections 8.02.064 and 8.02.066.
And there's no requested public commentary on that. Is there any council commentary? I just wanted to take a moment to thank and express my appreciation for the planning staff, Menda, Spencer, Steve McDonald, their division director, who's all here very late at night and have had many hours, and really, again, kind of broken through the logjam of things that Councilmember Cathcart has experienced in his 3 years or so on the council. And like I say, I've been here almost 6.5 years, and it's a change. And as I mentioned earlier, the sensibility of the town is changing and coming together as well, too. So I think it's bullish, and you look at the housing permits and starts, that's up. A lot of things are happening, so I'm hoping that in a few years, this shortage will be behind us. But with that, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. And that brings us to open forum. We have several people signed up for that. I think I'll start with people on the video or the phone. And Terry Anderson, if you're still here. See if we promote you. She is not here. What about Dave M? Is he on the phone? What about Corey Amsteb? All right, well. All right, Zach Widmer, you're up, and then Kim Schmidt, and then William Hewlings.
Hey all, thanks for your time. Wow, it's close to my bedtime, so I'll try to keep this quick. I just wanted to say thank you all on the homeless one. That wasn't what I came down here for, but I think I agreed with all of you at the same time, even though you voted different ways. And so thank you. Karen, I just wanted to thank you. I think I am extremely frustrated with the lack of transparency. And that just kills me because I'm an accountant, and what we do is we are transparent. We show numbers. We do our work, and we show it. I don't understand why that isn't the case in sometimes, but thank you. Anyway, what I wanted to say was more about housing affordability. I think it's a problem we're still woefully behind on. I think these are first steps, and I think they're great first steps for us, but I think we need to be looking, like Brienne said, one of the ways we know the answers, but what we need to do is change hearts and minds. And the best way to change hearts and minds is, I think, education. We need to be looking for policies that show us what the revenues and costs are for building cities, for maintaining cities are. And we need people to be able to know what the cost is for whatever they're doing. Free parking is something that has become a necessity. It's become an expectation, and we need to know that things have costs. Citizens need to know that how things work. And so I just want to encourage us to be looking for opportunities to be able to educate and train ourselves to what a city needs and how it works. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Kim Schmidt, and then William Hewlings, and then Sherry Burnett.
Hi. So this last Friday, the Supreme Court absolutely gutted the rights of half of this nation's population. So much for the separation of church and state. If the news was surprising to you, you have not been paying attention. The writing has been on the wall for years. Let's take another quick look at what happens here in Spokane and how our local events play out at a national level. Some of the pastors, and I use that term very loosely, whom you have graciously allowed to stand and share their opinion at this very podium, have been working to chip away the rights of those who don't believe exactly how they do. These very same pastors and antis have far reach. We've dealt with many of the same extremists here in Spokane that the good folks in Jackson, Mississippi deal with at the Pink House, which, if you don't know, is the clinic at the center of the Dobbs opinion. I regularly interact with some of the clinic defenders in Jackson. They have a lot of empathy for what we deal with here in Spokane because they deal with many of the same individuals. In fact, my friends who work in abortion rights around the country will not hesitate to say that due to both our history and our culmination of more recent events, Spokane is a tinderbox just waiting to be ignited. 2 weeks ago, 31 members of a white supremacist group called Patriot Front were arrested in Coeur d'Alene. I was able to connect 2 of those 31 back to extremists here in Spokane. Those 2 have participated in local churches, TCAP events, and far-right rallies here in Spokane. This last Friday, after the SCOTUS decision was announced, an estimated 500 folks showed up downtown in support of reproductive rights, while around 40 showed up to gloat, celebrate, and yell pray, which you guys know what I mean by that, while cupping their hands around their mouth to better project their volume at a building where folks were seeking health care. Bear in mind, 2 of those who showed up to yell at a building are listed on a lawsuit and on a permanent injunction that was a result of regular and escalating harassment of healthcare workers and patients seeking care. I was really hoping that there would be a proclamation this evening to affirm Spokane's commitment to our state's pre-Roe decision to make abortion legal. As you know, Spokane is going to be a very busy travel destination here real soon. I would also like to warn that the local antis have been loudly whispering about stepping up their presence on Indiana Avenue. I have mentioned a proclamation before, but I wanted to reemphasize that Spokane's leadership at all levels, not just you guys, all levels, must take a stand to help ensure patient and provider safety at what is about to be an even busier healthcare facility. I absolutely understand and know from personal experience that this will create backlash from the incredibly loud and highly abrasive minority, but that cannot be a factor in choosing to do the right thing.
Kim, we're at the end of your time. Thank you for coming down. And William, you're next, William Hewlings. And after William, Sherry Barnett, and then Justin.
All right, well, you guys already talked about this earlier. I was just going to share this drone footage of, I don't know what to call it, homeless encampment. I don't know.
You hit Control on the keyboard and then click it. It will open it automatically.
Oh, sorry. Oops. I'm hitting Control.
So hold Control and then click on the link. Yeah.
Sorry. I don't use Windows. I'm a Linux guy. Sorry.
It wants us to do something.
Well, anyways, I was just going to play a video. It's concerning to me because, you know, like we all, you know, I live a few blocks from here and, you know, I got a nice air-conditioned apartment that I can go to. And, you know, like as a veteran, it's heartbreaking. I mean, these are people that live in tents, like, and I mean, I just, when I look at this, it sickens me because I've been coming to city council meetings since 2019, and they've been talking about warming shelters, and now, 2022, this is where we're at. We got people, you know, these are American citizens, they're, you know, and, you know, we spend all this money updating the parks, doing all this stuff to make our city beautiful. You know, the other day when we had Hoop Fest here, you guys were out here cleaning up. Why can't we do that every week? But it's like, do these people that came to the city know that the largest homeless encampment in the United States is in Spokane, Washington? I mean, isn't that disturbing? I mean, I don't know, maybe they drive past here and look, but there's people there, and I've seen many different types of people. I mean, I could share a story and it'd be alarming, especially as a minority, of what I experienced standing just by there, by someone that started yelling at me. But anyways, thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
I got it.
All right, Sherry Barnett, and then Justin Haller, and then Catherine Corrick. I'm not sure if Catherine's still here.
Council President Beggs and all city council people, well, you're probably not going to figure out why I'm going to make this first statement. But probably if Adam and Eve had any second chances, they would have surely not taken the forbidden fruit. And why I'm saying that is today I heard Governor Inslee he said that now is a good time to move toward removal of the dams. Now, the dams, I've heard a lot of discussion here of salmon and the Indian population, the Spokane Indians, and I love salmon. I think they're courageous, beautiful, brave creation. And the Indians, yes, we should support them. But you know, all the land on Earth is populated. If you dig down, you'll see that there were populations before. You cannot go backward in time. And I told you I worked in the water district when I was in California. One of the things I did. But the dams do a great deal more than just hydropower. Many dams do not do hydropower at all. They control flooding. They provide irrigation. They provide protection from damaging land. They provide recreation. They provide fire protection. They provide debris control. And the price to remove them, I'm going to go into a little extra and try to figure this out. The price to remove them is incalculable. And the additional, only if you take the hydroelectric away, solar and wind are only approximately equal to the, at the most, to the hydropower. But you've got the cost of removing it, all the agricultural damage, all the flood control. And by the way, babies are not part of the mother's body. They are their own person. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. And Justin, it's now your turn. And after Justin, if they're here, Catherine Corrick or Dave Bilsland, but I don't see them.
Oh, good. Finally. I'm really frustrated at the state of affairs. It would be an understatement. And luckily, it's been 2.5 hours or almost 3 hours to speak, so I'm worn down and I'm not as angry as I once was when I got here. But I'm very frustrated with the state of affairs that's going on in Spokane. And there are things that you guys can change that you're either unwilling to or unwilling to look at, and it's very frustrating. I moved out of downtown 4 years ago, or a number of years ago, shortly after my car got firebombed, because I stood up to the bad things that were happening, and people who were shooting up drugs, and people who were leaving remnants of their drugs and solids and liquids by my car in a parking lot where you're supposed to be able to park, not sleep and do drugs. And Brian Beggs and Lori Kinnear did nothing at the time 4 years ago.
Yep.
And
Just, Mr. Heller, so I think you were here before where I asked you to be respectful to all people. Go ahead and share your feelings.
Did I use expletives?
No, it's not about expletives, but you should
I'm being as respectful as I can under the circumstances.
Address your comments to me, please. Continue.
Well, Kinnear was part of it. She was a representative at the time.
Can you keep this not personal, please?
It's very personal.
Okay.
You guys did nothing to solve things 4 years ago. You have done nothing to solve things recently. And crime is up, despite what you keep telling everyone, that crime is down, which is a patent lie. We got law enforcement that is losing morale because they don't feel that you have their back. You'd rather spend $100,000 on Teslas versus anything else. And you don't ask law enforcement what they need. You tell them what they have to have. That doesn't work. It's incompetent, it's delusional, or stupid, or all three. And yes, that is the most respectful thing I can do, because after I've been attacked 7 times because I simply want to walk to a coffee shop, and you won't do anything about the urine and the feces and the drug needles all along any alley. And then years later, you guys go, oh, we'll put up a chain link fence because that'll solve things. And they just ooze somewhere else. And then for Hoop Fest, they're right there again. I want to see some accountability. I want to see change. And I want to see at least 5 of you switch sides and go, you know what? Maybe this isn't working, because it's not. How far do you have to be bent out of your mind to realize that your ideas and your policies aren't working? How far? How delusional does it have to be? Do you have to be Seattle? Do you have to be LA, Chicago, New York, any other failed city that has all these ideologies before you go, wait a minute. Stop, evaluate, and go, no, this isn't working, because it's not.
All right.
That's your time. Stop wasting my tax money, fix the roads. I ride bikes a lot, and I don't want more bike lanes.
Thanks, Mr. Haller. All right. So anyway, that brings us to the end of a very long evening. Thanks, everyone, for your time. I also want to thank our staff. There's several of our legislative assistants here, and TV5 for always doing a great job. Thanks, everyone, for your work. Take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of somebody else. We're adjourned.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at